Hey everyone, my name is Rivan and in this video we are going to build a full stack TikTok clone. It covers UI built with Flutter, Backend with Firebase and state management with GetX. Let me show you the demo of the app. This works on iOS and Android. So first of all, you can upload videos. So let me take my Android device and I'll add a video. You can see that we get an option of selecting an image, selecting a video from our gallery or selecting it from our camera. I'm going to proceed with gallery and I'm going to select this video right here. And you can see that we get the demo. I hope you can hear the video as well. Now we can add a song name to it. I'll type none for now. And then we get a caption. We can type. And then we can click on share. And you can see that our video got shared. So if I come on the home screen of this iOS simulator to show you that it's real time, without refreshing, I can see these videos over here. And you can see my video of wait for it. You can see this comes up over here. And now you can see that it's showing up. I'm not sure if you can hear it in the iOS simulator, but if I open it in the Android device, you can go to the bottom and you can hear it. Let me increase the volume. And you can see that works. Now I can even like the image. So I can even like this. So if I go over here and I click on like, you can see that this changed to 1. And if I go back to my Android device and scroll down, you can see that we can see a 1 like over here. Now you can even comment on any post. So if I go over here and comment over here, let's say, and then click on send, this is real time sent to this comment section. Now I will go back and in the search we can search for the users as well. So let me type here, let's say Naman, and you can see this Naman user showing up. Now this is my own profile, so that's why it's showing this profile of sign out. But if I go to another profile, let's say Rivan Ranawat, and I'm already following this user, I can unfollow this and you can see the follower count decreasing, or I can follow him back again. Now you can see that we have this over here. So we can unfollow the user or we can follow him back again. These image posts that you can see are auto generated from the user videos. We are going to do that. And while video uploading, you might have not seen, but behind the scenes we are going to add a video compression so that a Firebase storage can take in more videos. Now you can go to the profile section and you can see this profile showing up. I follow 2 people. There are 0 followers and 0 likes. But if I go on the Flutter devs, you can see it has 1 follower and 1 like, because we have liked on one of their videos. So now I can even sign out and you can see that we have a complete authentication using Firebase and GetX. But before starting, the prerequisites for this course is to have a basic knowledge of Dart, Flutter and Firebase. No knowledge of GetX is required. And now let's get started. Alright, so the first thing we need to do now is go to a terminal, and I want to show you the Flutter version we'll be using. So I can do that with using Flutter -- version. And the version is 2.8.1, which is the latest for now. And then we can migrate to our desktop, and here we can create a project, Flutter create, and we can name this TikTok with an underscore. Don't put an hyphen, else it will give you an error. Then we can put in TikTok tutorial, let's say, and then hit enter. After that, we can go to our TikTok tutorial folder, and then we can open it in our favorite code editor. Mine is VS Code, so I can just type code and with a full stop in the folder, and this will open it in VS Code. After that, let me expand it, and in the lib section in the main.dart file, I'm going to remove everything from here. I removed this class from here. I'll remove this theme data from here. And I'm going to have a text which just says hello world. After that, we can ignore the warnings for now and we can open a simulator, iOS simulator, which can be done using open-a simulator. This will create an iOS simulator for us, which will be running. We can terminate this terminal that we have, because we'll be using the inbuilt terminal in VS Code. After that, let me also remove this. So now let's run our app and see how it's looking. In the meantime, what we can do is create a file named constants.dart, and over here we are going to put all the constants that we're going to have, and let's import material.dart from for here. And first thing we need is colors in our app. So what we can do is type comment colors, and you have to go to this link which will be mentioned in the description below to copy the colors. There are only 3 colors, so you can just copy that and paste it here. Then you can go over here and set the theme to theme data dot dark dot copy with, and you're going to have a scaffold background color of background color. Make sure to import it from constants.dart file, and we can save that, and let's see how it's looking. For now, we won't see any changes in the scaffold background color because we are not using scaffold in our app till now, but you can see hello world showing up, which is pretty good. Now we need to change the title of this. So let's say TikTok clone. Then we can remove this banner from your debug banner that we see. So we can do debug show check mode banner to false. Then we can save it, and you can see this banner has been removed. So let's work on the authentication screens. So before starting with the authentication UI, what we can do is I want to show you the structure that we're going to use. So we're going to have a structure of MVC in our application, which stands for models, then views, and then controllers. So in the controller, we are going to have all the logic. In the views, we are going to have the UI of our app, and the models will contain the model data. So like all the models that we create, like user model, post model, comment model, all of that stuff. So in the views, we are going to have a widgets folder and another folder called screens. And in the screens folder, we are going to create login screen and all the other screens that we are going to have. But since we have 2 screens in the authentication, what we can do is create a folder named auth over here. And in the auth, we can create a file named login_screen.dart. Now, first we need to import the material package. So we can import that. And after that, we are going to create a stateless widget, which will say login screen. Now over here, we are going to have, we are going to return a scaffold first. And then we are going to have a body which is centered, let's say, so that we can just see an output. And we are going to put a text of login screen. Right now, if I save, it gets formatted. And over here, I'm going to replace this with login screen. Let's save that, and you can see login screen showing up, and the background color is black, which is like the background color in our colors.dart file as well, like constant.dart file as well. Right. So the next thing we want is over here in a body, we are going to have a container. Why do we need a container? That's because we are going to have all our elements centered. So we can have alignment.center. Then we can have a child and a column. Then we need the input fields. So in the children, we can have a text called TikTok clone. Then we can have a style of text style, and the style we can have font size as 35, color as button color, which is in our constants.dart file, and the font weight as font weight.w900. Then we can save that. And over here you can see TikTok clone showing up. It's not centered yet, but it will center up when there are more elements in the column. So let's work on that. The next thing we want is our text, another text. So we can have constant text to show login. And then the style over here can be similar to this. So let's just copy that. The font size will decrease. So the font size can be, let's say 25. We don't want any color for this, like the original default color that we'll have. It's all that we want. And the weight can be 700. We can save that, and you can see login showing up as well. After this, we need to have some spacing, so we can have a sized box which says height 25. Then we can have a container where we are going to have a text input field. And since we are going to have multiple text input fields, what I'm going to do is create a widget out of it. So in our widgets, what we can do is create a file named as text input field dot. Over here, we are going to import the material package. We are going to create a stateless widget, and we are going to call it text input field. Now this will return a text for field, and this text field is going to have a controller which we are going to accept from the constructor from here. Let's have that. Then in the decoration, we can have input decoration. Firstly, we want it to show some labels. So what we can do is have label text. Then we can have a prefix icon. That will just be the icon of, password or email or whatever. We are going to have that icon from the top as well. Let's name it. So we can have label text here and a controller here. Then we even need a label style, how our label should look like. So we can have a label style, and it will definitely be of text style. And let's just increase their size. Then we need to have a border. So what we can do is enable border to be outline input border. Border radius can be border radius dot circular. Let's have that 5. Then the border side will be a constant border side. And with this, we are going to give the color to our text input field. So that can be color of border color. Then we need a focused border. And then the focused border can be the same thing as this one. So we can just paste that as well. And finally, our text field can be obscure. That means it will show the password as dots. So we can have an obscure text. And when will this obscure text be true? Whenever there is a text form field. So we are going to have that from the constructor as well. So we can have that is obscure. Now let's try to have those values from our constructor. So the first thing we want is a text editing controller. So let's have that text editing controller, which can be controller. Then we need a final string label text. Then we can have an is obscure value. Then we can have an icon data, because this is icon, and here we will have an icon data. You can see it over here. And then I think that's all what we want. Yeah. And let's try to import that from this named constructor right here. So let's require them. Here you can see I've accepted all the values from our constructor. And now if we go over here and have text input field, which is the widget we've created, and we need to pass in some values over here. The first thing we need is controller. So we'll have to create that on the top. So we can have a final text editing controller, and we can name that email controller, and we're going to mark it as private. So let's have that. Now let's even create it for password controller since we are here. So we can have that for password as well. And now we'll have to remove this constant because these are final fields. Also from the main.dart, we'll have to remove the login screens constant. Then we'll have to go down, and over here we are going to have an email controller. Then the label text can be email. Then the icon over here can be icons dot email, because this is icon data. And the last thing we want is obscure. Now everything is not going to be obscure if it's not password field. So what we can do is remove the required field from here, and we're going to have a preset value for this, which can be false. So if we have not mentioned any value, the obscure text is not going to show up. But if we set it true, suppose we'll do it for a password, so we can have true for that. Now if I refresh this and go over here, we can see our email showing up. And if we type it, you can see it's showing up, which is pretty good. Now the email is taking up all the width, and that's not how I want it. So in our container, what we can do is have a width, and the width is going to be media query dot of context dot size dot width, which will take up all the width, but we are going to have a margin as well. So we can have margin of const edge insets dot only, and from the left we can have 20 and from the right 20. Or you can just do symmetric and set horizontal to 20. Both of these approaches work. And you can see the email showing up. Now something similar is what we want for our password. So we can just copy this and paste it down here. Make sure to have a size box of height 25. Then we can have a password controller. There will be a password, and the email icon is going to be lock. We can save that, and here we can see email and password. Then we need a sized box again because we need to have button. So let's just increase the height from here. Let's have 30, and then we are going to style our button. Now for this button, we are not going to use the material button, elevated button, text button, any of that. We're going to create it from scratch using container. So let's create a container, and in the width, that will be media query dot of context dot size dot width minus 40. Then we can have a height of 50, a decoration of box decoration, and then there can be a color of button color. After that, there will be a border radius, and the border radius can be border radius dot all. From all the sides, we want it to be 5. Let me format this, and you can see that it will create a radius dot circular of 5 basically. And you can see our button is showing up pretty well. Now we just need a text over here. So we can have a child in our container. That will be child, and the text can be login. And since this is going to be a plain text, we can have a constant text, and let's save it. You can see login showing up, but it's not very cool looking. So we can make it cool. Let's have a text style, and we can have a font size of 20. We can make the color, I think the color is white, so we don't need to change that. And we can have a font weight of font weight dot w 700. You can see that it's coming up, but we want it in center. So what we can do is basically wrap this with a center. And you can see this shows up in the center, but we'll remove this from const from the text and put it for the centered widget. And the login shows up, which is pretty cool looking. Now this won't be clickable. So what I can do is wrap this centered with a widget known as inkwell. You can even use gesture detector, but I want splash effects, so I'm going to use inkwell, and we're going to have an on tap property where we'll just pass in null empty function. Let's put in a print to see if it's working. So we can say login user, and we can print that. So if I click over here, and you can see login user showing up. So after this container, what we need to do is have a sized box again, which will be of the height 15. We have to mark it as a constant. We basically need a text at the bottom, which can basically say don't have an account, you can register. So we can create a row, and the row will be centered from the main axis, like it should be centered from here, right? So we can have main axis alignment as main axis alignment dot center. Then we can have children, and the first child is going to be a constant text, which will say don't have, and since I want an inverted comma here, I can do slash, which will allow me to put a inverted comma over here. And then I can say don't have an account, and then I can leave a space so that when the next line comes in, I can have some spacing. And the style can be text style, and we'll just increase the signs. So let's say 20. Then we need another but text, which will be saying register, and that will have a style of text style of font size again 20, but here we are going to change the color, which will be button color. So we can have a button color. After that, what I'm going to do is for our text, I'm going to wrap it with a inkwell widget again. So I'm going to wrap this with a inkwell widget because we are going to have an on tap functionality over here as well. And over here we can just print navigating user. And you can see this has a splash effect as well. And we clicked on it and we got navigating user showing up, which is nice. And now you can see our app is fully made, but we just need to center it. So what we can do is go in our column, and over here we can have a main axis alignment property to main axis alignment dot center. And if we save it, our app comes into shape. Now let's work on the sign up screen. So in the auth, we are going to create another file named signup_screen.dart. And we are going to import the material package. And we're going to name it, we are going to create a stateless widget, which we'll name sign up screen. And for the return, I'm just going to copy this scaffold from here and put it there because it's almost similar. Then we can resolve the errors that we are getting by importing everything. So you can just use command and full stop to see the errors and their possible solutions. So in our text input field, we can do that. And we just need to create the two controllers. I'm going to copy that as well. And in the sign up screen, we can go and paste them. We are going to remove the sign up. And over here, we are going to return a sign up screen instead of the login screen. This is the basic stuff. So let's refresh. And you can see that there's no change because we have to make some changes right now. We are calling our sign up screen register. So we can just put that. Then over here, we can go down and just print register user. We can have register. And then over here, we can already have an account. And here we can say login. This looks pretty good. Now we just need to have an extra, input field and a circle avatar which shows up at the top to select images. So what we can do is go to the top and we're going to copy this sized box from here and paste it below. And we'll have to remove this sized box from here. And we'll have to paste that over here. So let me copy this from here and paste it down here. Now I'm going to replace this with username, and here we'll have username controller, which we'll have to create. So let's go at the top and create that. We'll copy this and we'll have username controller. Copy this from here and paste it down. And we're going to have an icon of person. And if we go, you can see username showing up. Now, the next thing we want is a circle over here, which basically tells us about the image selection. So let's create that. Now, as you can refer in the image in the side, we're going to have a stack over here. And the stack will have children. First of all, a constant circle avatar, which will show our image, which will have a radius of 64. Then a background image, and the background image will be a network image which will show a default image. Let's try to find a default image, and we can paste that image link over here. It's just a random image, you can grab it from the net. So let's put a const for the circle avatar, which we have done. And after that, we need a background color while the image is loading up. So we can have a colors.black or a colors.blue, whatever suits your taste. Then we can have a positioned element to show an icon button which we can click and select an image. So we can have it positioned in the bottom from -10, left 80, and a child which will be an icon button. Now this icon button will have an icon which will be a constant icon, icons.add_a_photo, and then an onPressed functionality where you're going to pick an image. So we can just type print pick image to see, if the icon button is working. Now if we go over here, you can see the image and everything, but we have positioned it, positioned the stack wrong. We have to put it above the username. So we can put it down over here. And now if we see, we are getting that. Now we need to create some spacing. We can create that spacing as well. And we can save that. Now you can see that the image is showing up and it's looking pretty good. But the only problem is, well, the sized box height. So we can reduce the height by 10 pixels everywhere. So we can just have 15. And if we save this, this looks much better. If I save, you can see that it's looking much better. Don't worry about this image not showing up pretty good in a good way, because that won't matter. So now let's work on the authentication logic. So what we need to do now is create a controller, and the controller will be named auth_controller ... Now these controllers are going to have the logic of our app, because we're going to separate our logic from our UI files, which is generally a good practice in Flutter. Now the auth controller is going to extend a class known as GetX controller, which we'll have to import from the GetX package. So you can go over here in the pub.dev and type in get, and you'll get the GetX package. So this is the package we are going to use. Now you can go to the pubspec.yaml file and add this over here in our dependencies, get, and you can just take the latest version. You can go in the installing tab and you can find the latest version, which is this one. Or instead of adding multiple files, what you can do is go to your extensions tab and find pubspec assist. This extension allows you to do command shift and P, and after that is done, you can just click on pubspec assist and you can add and update dependencies from here by just typing the name. This will help a lot in your app. So let me create a class named auth controller, and we're going to extend that from GetX controller. Now since we installed a new package, we'll have to stop our app and rerun our app. So we can do that, but before doing that, our auth controller, for our auth logic, we'll have to get some libraries, some packages for Firebase configuration as well. So you can go over here and find these packages that we're going to install. Firebase core, so that we set up the connection between our app and the Firebase console. Then the Firebase auth package for authentication in our app. Cloud Firestore, so that we can set up our database. And Firebase storage to store our images. So over here, what we can do is, we created this. Now we can just save this much. Go to our main.dart file. And let's first of all add this. I forgot to add them. So the names are Firebase core, Firebase auth, Firebase storage, and lastly Cloud Firestore. Now this will add automatically to our pubspec.yaml files with the latest version, so we don't need to worry about it. Now in the main over here, what we need to do is, well, let's go over here first and see why we're getting this error. We can just type flutter pub get, and you can see our error has gone. Right, now in our main.dart file, we can go there. I did command P to open something like this to search file by their name. Now in the main function, what we can do is make this asynchronous first of all. Then we can do widgets flutter binding dot ensure initialized, so that our framework knows that the widgets have been initialized. Then we need to do something as await Firebase dot initialize app. This Firebase is given by the Firebase core package you can find over here, and this will initialize the app for us. But we need to, well, make a configuration in our Firebase console as well. We need to add this project. So what we can do is click on add project, enter our project name. So let me type, let's say TikTok tutorial, and we can click on continue. We can disable the analytics for this project. We don't need that. Now in the meantime, it's creating the project for us. In our main.dart file, we need to replace a material app with get material app. Don't forget to do that. This is a very important step, so that our whole app is with get material app and we can make changes like with GetX in our app. Now you can see that our project is created. We can go in there, and well, first of all, for Apple we need to do, so we can click on iOS. Now to find the bundle ID, what you can do is go on the iOS folder and you can right click and you can find open in Xcode, and this will open the file in Xcode for you. After that is done, we can go to the runner, which is the topmost directory, and over here we can copy this bundle identifier and paste it in our in our app bundle ID. We can name this, let's say, iOS TikTok. We don't need the App Store ID, so we'll continue. Then we need to download the Google Service Info.plist file, which we'll download. And then we can just go to our downloads over here, and we can take this Google Service Info.plist file and put it in the runner/runner folder, and then click on finish. Now you can exit the Xcode, and then you can click on next in the console. We don't need to follow all of these steps, so we can click on next and we can continue to the console. Our iOS stuff is done, but the last thing we need to do before running our app is migrate to our iOS folder, and here we can run pod install. This will install all the necessary platform. But as you can see, we have gotten an error. So we can go to our pod file, and over here we need to uncomment this line and replace 9.0 with 10.0 because it needs a higher version, as you can see in the error. So, and after that is done, we can just click on pod install again, and it will install the necessary dependencies for us. Welcome back, and as you can see, the pod installation is complete. So we can clear this. We can go back to our main folder and not the iOS folder, and here we can again run our app without debugging. So let's wait for our app to launch to see if we have done it successfully. Hello everyone, welcome back, and our app has loaded. You can see that it's loaded, and we can see some messages from GetX which says instance GetX material control has been created and it has been initialized. This is because we have returned get material app. So if you're not getting this, make sure to comment down below what error you're getting or anything, or just fix this with having this. Alright, now the next thing we want to do is configure for the Android app as well. So we click on the add app and we can add the Android app. Now we need the Android package names. For that we can go to our Android manifest.xml and we can copy the package from here, close this file, and we can add that over here. Now I can name this Android TikTok, and we don't need the SHA1 certificate because we are not doing any Google sign in or phone number sign in. Then we can register our app. After that we need to download our Google services.json file, and we need to add this in our projects apps build gradle. So what we can do is go to our downloads, and over here first of all we can go to our Android, then our app, and over here we need to add our Google services.json file. So we can add that over here. Make sure to add this within the app and not the src, else it will not work well. Now after doing that, we can click on next over here. Now we need to add the Firebase SDK, all these dependencies. So what we can do is go to our build.gradle file, first of all the project one, which is this one, in the Android folder itself, and over here we need to copy this line, the dependencies line, and paste it down here. So you can click on enter and paste this over here. After that you can close this file and you can go to the build.gradle Android app file, which is this one, and over here you need to copy this line from here and you need to paste it over here, right? This is all the configurations you need for the Firebase console. So you can continue to the console, but you still have to make some changes. So in the build.gradle Android app over here, what you need to do is change the Flutter minimum SDK version to 19. And over here, we need to do minimum minidex enabled to true. It's not minidex, sorry, it's multidex. So you have to turn multidex enabled to true. After that, you can save the file, and now I'll connect my Android phone and see if it's working. Welcome back. Our app has loaded up, as you can see over here. So what I'm going to do is disconnect this Android app from here because it will take in all the laptop battery from here. So I'll disconnect it. And what we're going to do now is again run the app so that our iOS simulator can run. So we can run without debugging. Actually, it's running the Chrome version. So I can change that by clicking over here and changing to iPhone 13 and then running it again. Now in the background, what we want to do is when the app is initialized, we need to, after that is initialized, we need to run something. So we can do dot then, and it will return a value which is not significant for us as such. But after this, what we need to do is get dot put, and we need to put auth controller, the class that we just created. Right, now let's import the get package. Over here, instead of route manager.dart, you can just import get.dart so that it imports everything from the get dependency, like the get library that you have added. Alright, now we can go to our auth controller. We have everything in place. So the first thing we need to do is create a method for registering the user. Alright, so now to register the user, what we can do is create a function which doesn't return anything, and it will take in a username, then an email, a password, and a file that can be null, which is an image. Now we need to import the .io package, so you can import that. Don't import the .html package, it imports that by default. You need to import .io. Then after that, we need to set up a try catch block so that it can listen to any errors. And since you're going to have a try catch, like we are going to have an asynchronous process, that's why we have wrapped this with a try catch block. Over here, we can check if the username dot is not empty. So we don't want any of the fields that we have accepted from the parameter to be empty. If they are not empty, then only we are going to follow the processes that are going to happen. And the image cannot be null. So we can just do image is not equal to null. Right, now if this is the case, what we need to do is, well, we need to save our user to our authentication and to our Firebase database, like the Firebase Firestore. Right, if we get any error, what we need to do is get dot snackbar. Now we need to import get. So you can import get, and over here again you can import get .dart package, which will import everything we need in the future as well. Now you can remove this get instance. Now you can display a snack bar by just doing get.snackbar. You need to pass in a title which can be error creating an account, or we can just remove an. And over here to show the message, we can just type e.toString. Alright, now let's save our database. Let's save the user to our database. So now we are going to do user. So now to save to our database, we have to do Firebase auth.instance. But we are going to use the Firebase auth.instance quite often throughout our app. So what we can do instead is go to our constant.dart file, and over here we can create some Firebase related constants. So first thing is going to be, let's create it as a var, and it can be Firebase storage. No, sorry, we have to name that. So we can have Firebase auth equal to Firebase auth dot instance. Then we can create the same for Firebase storage, which can be Firebase storage dot instance. And lastly, we can have for Firebase. So instead of just Firebase, we can do Firebase store, and we can have Firebase Firestore dot instance. Right, now over here we can just import that Firebase auth, And over here we can have create user. Now we have the email and the password accepted from the parameter. Now this is going to be a future because we are going to create a user on the net. So all the processes are going to be asynchronous. So we need to await this, and it will return something known as user credential. Now this user credential is going to be user credential, and you can just have that. Now I'm going to put some commas so that you can so that we can format the document. Now after that is done, our user has been made. Now what we need to do is store this image to our Firebase storage so that we can get the link to this image in our Firebase storage. But before that, we also need to do some authentication. Now we can go to our auth tab and click on get started over here, which I forgot to do previously. And after this get started is done, it will take us to the sign in method. We need to enable the email or password sign in methods. So you can do that. And you can go to the users. After that, we need to do the same for Firestore database and storage. Storage will automatically open. That's not a big deal. We need to create a database. Here you can start in the test mode and click on next. And the cloud Firestore you can have is, I can have is Asia Southeast because I live in Southeast Asia. You can click according to your preference of the zone you're in. In the meantime that is happening, we can create a function to upload the image to our storage, our Firebase storage. So let's create a function upload to storage. And this function will, we'll have to pass in the image that we receive from here. Right now over here we can create a function that will upload to Firebase storage. So we can just type a comment for upload to Firebase storage, and here it will return a string. So it will be of the type future string because the process is going to be asynchronous. Now we can upload to the storage, and we'll have a file image that we are receiving from the argument, we are passing in as an argument. Now we need to do Firebase storage, the variable that we created in the constant.dart file, .ref.child, and the child will have a name of profile pics, and we'll have a child of Firebase auth.current user, which can be null, .uid. Now this will be of the type reference, so we can just type reference ref equal to this. Now let's import the reference. So basically we have to import the Firebase storage file, this line, and we'll have to mark this process asynchronous. We can save that, and now we need to upload this image. So to do that, what we can do is ref.put file, and what we need to put image. Alright, now this will return an upload task to us. So we can do upload task equal to this, and then we can do task snapshot. So this will be of the type task snapshot, and it will have snap equal to await upload task. So this will be like a future. This is like a future which we need to await. So after this is done, we'll get a snapshot, and this snapshot will return to us our download URL. So we can just do string download URL, which is equal to await snap dot ref dot get download URL. And lastly, we need to return this download URL, which will be a string. We can save this, and if we go down, you can see that we are not getting any error, but we need this download URL. So we need to await this and finally get this string download URL equal to this. Now we have that. We need to now finally we got the download URL, which basically means that we went to our storage, we saved the file in the appropriate directory, which is this over here in the child profile pics with the image name as this. We saved our file, and then we got the download URL. Now we have to save all of those stuff with the name, username, all of that in our Firebase Firestore. So what can we do? Well, first of all, we'll have to create a model, which will be a user model, so that our app looks pretty good. I mean, it is modeling our data, and all of the code stuff is done. Basically, we are modeling the data has its own users, which we'll see in the future. Now we can create a class of user. Now we will have a string name, a profile photo, then we can have an email, and finally we'll have a UID, which is the user ID. Now we have to require all of this, so let me do it quickly. Also, a thing to note over here is we are saving a profile photo as a string and not as a file, because we are going to save the download URL, right? Now let's see why we're getting this error. That is because, well, we need to put a semicolon over here. Now we'll have some functions that we'll have to create, which is string, which is which will return a map called toJSON, which will basically convert our, whatever data that we've given over here in our model. It will convert it into a map basically, and this will return a map or an object if you're from JavaScript. And then we can return the name. So we can have name, a profile photo will be profile photo, then an email, and finally our UID, which is UID. Finally, we'll have another function which will be static user from snap, which will basically take the document snapshot that we'll pass in the future while retrieving the values, and then it will convert it into a user model. So we'll have var snap equal to snap.data, and we'll have that as a map of string comma dynamic. Now we need to return the user. So we'll return the user, and the first name is going to be email. So we can take the snapshot, that variable that we created right now, and then we can return profile photo, UID, and finally you'll have to return a name, which will be snapshot name. Now all the functions for our user model is done. So we can go back over here, and now we'll import user. Now the problem is that there are two users, one coming from the user model that we just created, and another one coming from the Firebase auth. To fix that issue, what we can do is import the user model as model, and then what we can do is model.user, and then we can create our user, which will be user. And let me get all of those. Now the name is going to be username, email is the email. To get the UID, you can just take the cred that we have over here, dot user, which can be null, dot UID. And finally the profile photo, which is the download URL that we have. And we can save this. Now we basically need to put this data in the Cloud Firestore. But before that, let me edit the rules of the Cloud Firestore, else it will give some errors. Over here we'll have to remove all of this and allow read and write, which is basically that everyone can read and write to our database, which is an insecure rule. But if you want to learn more about rules, you can let me know. I'll make a video on that as well. Now you can take the Firebase Firestore, which is this one, and we'll go to the collection of users dot document, and the document is going to be the credential, the cred dot user dot UID, and we can set the user like this. But now you can see that we're getting this error because it accepts a type of map string dynamic data, and we are passing in the user model, which is not correct. So what we can do is access the .toJSON method that we created, and if we do this much, our data should be saved. But now let's await this as well, because it is an asynchronous process, you can see over here. And after this, we can even have an else function over here, which will show a snack bar. So basically, if the username or any of this is empty, so what we can do is show an error. So what we can do is we'll have the same title, but our message will change. Please enter all the fields, and we can save this. Now let's rerun our app and see if it's working. But before that, we need to call this function. So we can take the register user function, and we need to go to our sign up screen, and in the on tab, first of all, we'll have to register the user. So what you can do is on tap. And now to do that, what we can do is auth controller dot. Now in order to call the auth controller dot instance, we need to do something. So in our auth controller, we can go to the top, and over here we'll have to create static auth controller named instance, so that we can call this, and we need to do get.find, which will basically find this auth controller for us and return to us an instance of this auth controller. Now you can replace this, and in our constants, since we are going to use auth controller quite often, what you can do is, well, type over here controller, and we'll have var auth controller equal to auth controller dot instance. Now we can call the instance on the auth controller. We can take this auth controller now and do auth controller dot register user. Now we need to pass in the username, which is, well, username controller dot text, then the email, so we can do email controller dot text, and finally the password controller dot text. Now we need to add an underscore because that's the name of our controller, and we can format this. Now we need to pass in the image as well. So what we can do is, over here in our pick image over here, what we need to do is, well, we need to create a pick image function over here. So what we can do is pick image, we need to create this sort of function, and it will not return anything and will be asynchronous, obviously. Now to pick the image from our gallery, what we need to do is go to this URL that I'll mention in the description below, which is the image picker plugin. You need to install this, so I'll add this in the pubspec access, which will add in my pubspec.yaml file. And now I can stop the app execution and we'll have to restart it. Alright, now let's try to get the image. So our picked image will be image picker. Now I think we need to do this. So we can do image picker dot pick image, and the source is going to be image source dot gallery, and we can have this much. Now we can check if picked image is not equal to null, we need to show a snack bar that we have selected a picture successfully. So we can have get.snackbar profile picture, and the message can be, you have successfully selected your profile picture, and we can add that. Now we have to create a global variable which will be named, let's say, file of picked image, and we have to make this an observable. So what we can do is rx and file. Observable is basically like a stream of events. Basically we're keeping track if the picked image variable has been changed or not, like the value of it has changed or not. So we are doing that. And now what we can do is, over here we can set picked image equal to rx file, which is nullable. We can set this with a value which is file, and it will be picked image dot path. Alright, now we need to go over here and we need to have the onPress functionality. So we can have auth controller dot pick image, and also we need to have this like this. So we can pick the image now, and after getting this picked image, what we need to do is auth controller dot, and we need to access the picture, but we cannot access this picked image because this is a private field. So what we can do is create a getter, which is file get profile photo, and we need to pass in the picked image dot value. So whatever value is there in this picked image variable, we need to return that, and this is going to be a getter. Now this will return a value, so we can do auth controller dot profile photo, and we can save this much. And now let's rerun our app and see if it's working. Also, a thing I would like to note is that over in the main.dart file, we put the auth controller directly because because we'll be using auth controller everywhere in our app basically to get the UID and all of that stuff. That's why I've put get.put over here in our initialize app itself, so that it runs when the first time our app is starting. And also because we need to persist the state of our application, like if the user is signed in, we need to make sure that it's signed in. That's why I put it over here only, so that we can access a function that we'll create later on. Alright, else we would have used get builder, or put the get.put in every stateless widget that we created and wherever we wanted to use. But since this is going to be a lot of use, that's why I've put it in the main.dart file itself. Alright, welcome back, and you can see that our auth controller has been created and initialized, which is a good sign. Now let me pick an image first, and you can see our app crashes. This is because, well, we haven't read the documentation for image picker. The image picker documentation clearly says that we need to add something for our iOS. So what we can do is in our info.plist file over here, we need to add some stuff. So you can just copy this and put it down. So we can, after this key, we can have 2 more or 3 more keys. So this is the first one, the second one, and the third one. Then we need to copy these keys, ns photo library usage. So we can just say photo library needed. Then we can have the camera. So we can have ns camera usage description. So we can have camera usage, and finally a microphone. So we can have microphone usage, and now we can save this. Now we'll have to again run our app without debugging, and let's see if it works. Our app has loaded again, and let's try to have a file. Now we can see that it wants to access to all our photos. So now let me select one photo, and you can see profile picture has been successfully selected. Now we'll add a username, let's say Rivan, an email, which I'm going to badly format, and then a password test123, and we can register. You can see error creating an account. This email address is badly formatted, so we can have that. And let me put the username field empty so that we can check if it's working. And you can see, please enter all the fields. So let me add Rivan Ranawat, and we can click on register. We are getting no signs of any error. That means our app has been completed. So we can go to our Cloud Firestore, and in the authentication tab, we should see Rivan Ranawat, Naman Rivan. And in our Cloud Firestore as well, we see a users collection with our UID and all of that stuff, which is pretty cool. We haven't added the followers list over here, because it's going to be a sub collection and not a field over here. So yeah. Now the next thing we want to do is, well, first of all, we notice an error in our register field. We forgot to mark is the password thing is obscure to true. So let me do that. So let me collapse all the folders so that it looks much more organized. And in the sign up screen, where we have our password controller, we can set is obscure to true. This will fix the error, and now if we type anything, you can see obscure text coming. Alright, now let me create a function so that we can create a user. So we'll have void login user, and we can have an email and a password, which will be an asynchronous process. We'll again have a try and a catch block. Again, we'll have a get.snackbar. So let me just copy all of this. We'll again have the condition checking. So we can just take these both conditions. These are the conditions that we need. And we can check if email is not empty and password is not empty, then we need to do our task. Else we need a snack bar again. which will be this. Error logging in, not creating an account. Make sure to change that. Error logging in. Alright, now let me save this, and after this we basically need to do await Firebase auth dot sign in with email and password. We have that. Now we can save that, and to know that we have logged in, what we can do is print log success. Now this will only print if there is no error, because we are catching the errors over here. So if we're getting any error, we will not get this print statement. Alright, now we also need to show in our main.dart file a login screen, so that we can see if we're getting any, so that we can basically test our app. So in our email, we can type namanrivan@gmail.com. I'm going to pass in a wrong password 123456, and we can log in. We're getting the login user printed over here, which means we have not added the method to our UI. So let me connect it to our UI, and in the on tab, we can basically have auth controller dot login user. The email is going to be email controller dot text, and the password is going to be password controller dot text. Now let me even format the document. That is done. Now we can try logging in. So let me restart our app. In our email, let's try put namanrivan@gmail.com. Test. Let's put test and click on login. Error logging in, which is a wrong format, but it's fine. And again, in our login screen, we forgot to put the is obscure, so we can fix that. So in our password, we can set is obscure to true. Now this didn't change the state of our app, so we don't need to restart. Now we can have namanrivan@gmail.com yet again, and we'll pass in the correct password and login. And you can see log success showing up, which is pretty cool. That means we have logged in. Now the only thing is we need to make sure that we go to the next screen. So let me first create the third screen, which will be in the screens. Let's call that home screen .dart. Let me import the material package, and it will be a stateless widget. So we'll have a home screen, and let's keep a container for now. And let's let's figure out how we can go to the next screen. Well, definitely we can make use of get.push, like get.off, so that we can replace everything and go to the next screen, which we are going to do. But instead of doing it after every success in every login user method, we can do another we can follow another technique, which I'm going to show you. And with that, we are also going to maintain the state of our app. So if the user has logged in, he doesn't need to log in again. Alright, so now what we can do is go to the top. We'll have to create a variable called late, and it will be an observable yet again, which will be a user and user. This is not going to be the user model user, but the Firebase auth user, right? Now we are going to call the onReady. We're going to call the onReady function, which is basically something like on init, but it's run after one frame of on init, like when the first time the app loads up. Now over here we are going to set user to rx user, and the value we are going to supply it with is firebase.auth.current user. And we are also going to bind this user to a stream. So user.bind stream, and we are going to do firebase auth.auth state changes. So basically we are setting the user to a value, which is the current user value, and then we are binding it to a stream, which is firebase auth.auth state changes, which listens to the changes in our auth state, and then binds it to our user stream, which is this one, so that our value constantly keeps on updating. And now whenever there is a user, so whenever there is a change in the user, we need to call a function, which we are going to set as set initial screen. Over here we are going to create this function right now. Alright, now in the onReady, now we are going to create a function known as setInitialScreen, and it will receive a type user, which will be user, and we are going to check if the user is equal to null. What we need to do is get.offAll. So we need to replace everything with the login screen because we need to make sure that the user is logged in, right? Else what we need to do is get.offAll, and we need to pass in the home screen. So let me run through the process we followed over here. Basically, we are setting the user to a value which is the current user, and we are also going to bind this user stream. So whenever any auth state changes, which this function will let us know, the user value will also change. So we have binded this to the stream, and with this we have called the ever function. So whenever the user value changes, we need to call this function, which is the setInitialScreen, which will make sure that we need to display, if we need to display the login screen or the home screen. Now so let's save this much and run our app, and now you can see the home screen showing up. You can see going to route home screen, removing route this. This is because, well, our user is not null now. And now if you don't believe me, actually what I'm going to do is go to the home screen. So in our home screen, I'm going to replace this container with a scaffold, body, center, child, text, and we are just going to type in home screen so that I can make sure that it's the home screen. And yes, it is. Pretty cool, right? Now even if I restart my app, you can see that I'm going to the home screen. Cool. Now we need to work on the home screen functionality. Let's do that. What we want to do now next is work on the bottom navigation bar. So we are going to add the bottom navigation bar in our home screen itself. So that's where we want it. Now in the bottom navigation bar, we need to pass in items, and the items are of the type bottom navigation item bar item, and there will be an icon which we'll have to pass. So we can pass in the icon as icons dot home as the first one. Let's increase the size to size 30, and then we also need to pass in a label so that we can see the text below the icons. So we'll have home, and we can save this much. Now all of the items are going to be const, so we can have a constant. And now let's have multiple items. Let's have 4 of them because we are going to create our custom. Let's create 5 actually. Now in the icons, the second we want is a search icon, so we can type in search. The third we need is a custom icon that we'll create. The fourth one we need is a message icon, and last thing we need is a profile icon. So we can just type person, and we can have profile typed in. Over here we'll have messages typed in, and over here we don't need a label, I think, or we just need an empty label. Yeah, and this icon is going to be a custom icon that we are going to create, because we need that plus icon that you can see in the top in the right. So let's create that in our widgets. So let's call it custom underscore icon dot dart. It's going to be, let's first of all import material package, then it's going to be a stateless widget, and we're going to call it custom icon. Now this custom icon is going to return some dimensioned box. So let's create a sized box, and it will have a width of 45 and a height of 30. Then we need a child, and the child is going to be a stack of children of container, first of all with a margin of const edge insets dot only, and from the left we need 10. Then we need a width which is going to be 38, and then a decoration. So we can have decoration as box decoration, and the color is going to be const color dot from argb, A is the alpha or the opacity basically, then the red value, then the green value, and finally the blue value. Then we need to pass in the border radius. So our border radius is going to be border radius dot circular, right? Now let's save this much. Now we can take this container from here and put it again. So let's pass that container as well. Now this is going to be from the right margin 10. It is going to have the same width 38, and the ARGB is going to be 32 211 234. Right, it will give us a blue effect as you can see over here in the colors. Finally, we need a centered widget which will be a plus icon basically. So we can have a center of child and we'll have the container again. So I'm going to paste that. Now this centered will have no margin. So we can remove this margin. It's going to be height double dot infinity. And then it will have a color of colors dot white because we want the white background, and in that we want a child as a color, a plus icon basically. So we can have a child of const icons dot add, which is a plus icon. We want the color to be colors dot black and the size is going to be 20. Let me save this much and I'm going to import custom icon from here. Now let me put a comma and save this much. If I refresh my app, you can see we are getting no errors and our bottom navigation bar looks pretty cool. We just need to change the colors. So let's go on the top. We're going to have a background color which will be colors.back. So we can just do background color and then we can save this much. Now there's colors.black and we need to pass in the type. So the type is going to be bottom. Let me have bottom navigation bar type dot fixed and let's save this and you can see this is showing up. But you can see that the selected color is somewhat greenish and we don't want that. So what we can do is pass the selected item color to be colors dot red or the button color, whatever thing suits you. I'm going to go with red and the unselected item color is going to be colors dot white. You can save this and you can see that we have that. Now if we click over here, we are not seeing any changes happening. That's because we need to do some more configuration. So over here, we're first going to have a page index which will be 0. And we need to change this page index's value. So what we can do is create this as a stateful widget because we need to change the state of this variable right here. And whenever anything is tapped over here, what we will get over here is an index and we need to set the state of the page index global variable to this local variable over here. And we can save that much. Now if we do, we are not seeing any changes till now because we haven't set the current index over here. So we can do current index equal to page index. We can save this and now we should be seeing the changes. Right, this works, but now we need to display the pages conditionally as well. So if we are on the home screen, we need to show the home screen. If on the search screen, we need to show the search screen. Now to make that happen, we need to replace the body with something else. Now we are going to create a constant which is going to be constant pages, which will be equal to an empty list. Now we are going to replace this with text values. So the first thing we have is home screen and we are going to have multiple screens. So let me paste text for now. So we have messages screen, add page screen. Actually, this is the search screen and this is the messages screen. And finally, what we need is a profile screen. We can save this and if we go over here, we are going to take this pages. Let me import that and we are going to have page index. So basically we are going to take the pages list from here and we are going to access that page index element basically. So if we are on the, suppose we are on the home screen, it will have a page index of 0. So we are taking the pages list we have, and we are going to grab that a particular text widget for now that we have in our, well, constants.dart file, and we are going to grab this text from here. If we are on the second index, we'll get add page index, and that's how we are going to display the screens. And now if you see, we have home screen, search screen, add page, messages, and profile, which means all of our stuff works pretty well. Now let's work on the add post functionality. So for the add screen, what we need to do is go to our screens, and over here we can create a new screen named add video screen dot. Now let me import the material package first, and we're going to create a stateless widget again, which will be add video screen. This will return a scaffold, and what we basically need to show is a centered button. So we can have a center, and child will be a button. So let's wrap it with an inkwell right now, because we know it's a button, and we are not going to use the buttons like the buttons that are given to us. Now on the on tab, we are going to do something. So let's keep it empty for now. And in the child, we're going to create a container which will have a fixed width of 190 and height of 50. Now the decoration will be box decoration, and the color will be button color. Child will be a constant center text which says add video. It will have a style of text style, and the font size will be 20. Color will be colors.black, and font weight will be font weight.bold. Right, I've formatted this. Now let me save it, and actually we haven't added this to our list. So in our constants.dart file, we are going to replace this text of add page screen with an add video screen. Let's do that. And now let's close all the saved files and go to our add video screen. And this looks the way we want it to look. Cool. Now whenever this is clicked, we need to show a menu dialog box, as you can see in the image in the left side. So what we are going to do is on tab, we are going to create a function which is show options dialog, and it will take in a context. Now this will we'll have to create the show options dialog, and it will receive a build context, and over here we'll have to return a show dialog. So we'll have to return show dialog. This requires a build context that we have passed in and a builder. Now the builder will receive a context, and based on that it will return widget, which will be known as a simple dialog. Now the simple dialog will have children of all the dialogues, which will be the simple dialog option. Now the simple dialog option will have an onPressed property, which will be a pick video functionality, and a child of row, which will be children. And we're going to mark everything as constant because we're not going to use any dynamic value. And we're going to have icons dot image. We're also going to have a text which says gallery, and then a style of text style, and the font size will be 20. Alright, now let's save this much and see what we're getting. If we click on add video, our gallery option is showing, but as you can see, there's not much padding and it doesn't look that good. So what we can do is wrap this text with the padding, and from all the sides we can add a padding of 7. Now you can see it looks much better and much cleaner. Now we can copy the simple dialog option and paste it 2 more times to display a camera option and a cancel option. Now this camera option and the camera option is going to have icons.camera underscore alt, and the cancel option will have cancel in this cancel. Right now, if we click on add video, you can see cancel, camera and gallery option. So whenever we click on one of these, we need to select an image from our gallery or camera, whatever option. So what we're going to do is create a function over here, which will be called, let's say, pick video, and it will be it will receive some image source and a build context. Now we need to pick a video, and this is very good because we are going to use the image picker plugin only that we have installed to pick the video. So we are going to do image picker.pick video, and this is going to be asynchronous, and the source is going to be src that we're going to access from the parameter. Now we'll check if the video is not equal to null, then we need to go to the next screen. So the next screen we are going to have is a confirm screen, which confirms that there is a video, and we can add captions and all sorts of stuff. So we can have import material, and it will be a stateless widget again, confirm screen. You can save this, and now we can type in navigator dot of context dot push material page route, and we can pass in the builder for the material page route, actually material, not material page but material page route, and it will be a context, and we have to pass into the confirm screen. For now we'll ignore the warning because we know that the confirm screen that we are going to have is not going to be a constant. Now over here we are checking the video is not equal to null. So like the video can be null when the user goes in the gallery and doesn't choose any video, right? So now we have to bind this pick video to our functions over here. So we can pass this pick video, and it will receive two arguments, the image source. So over here the image source is image source.gallery, and we have to pass in the context. We can copy this line and paste it over here for the camera as well. So we can have image source.camera, and finally when we click on the cancel, we basically need to remove this dialog. So what we can do is navigator dot of context dot pop. This is pretty much it. Now let's try to run our app. So let's rerun our app, and we can go over here, add a video, let's say gallery, and we can select the image from our gallery. So let me select this, and you can see we can play it over here and choose it. Now when we choose it, you can see that it's compressing the video. This is the default behavior in iOS devices, only when we are selecting it from the gallery, but we are also going to compress the video on our own. And now you can see we have gone to the confirm screen because we have just a container and no scaffold. That means we have a video selected. So now in the confirm screen, let's try to display this. So in our confirm screen, what we want to do is return a scaffold first of all, and we need to accept some stuff from our constructor. So first of all, we need the video file so that we can play it, and we'll have to import the .io package. So let me import that. And after that, we also need the video path. So we can do string video path, so that we can basically just run the file, so that we can save it to our database with the video path. Alright. Now what we need to return, but before returning, what we need to do is set up our video player. So to play the videos, we are going to need a package named video_player. Link will be mentioned in the description below. We need to take this and add this to our pubspec assist, and basically with this, first of all, we'll have to convert the stateless widget to a stateful widget, and also accept all of this, both of these constructor from the, we have to pass accept this from our constructor. So we'll mark both of these as required. So required this dot video file required this dot video path, and we can then save. Then in the return, in the debug console, we can see that we're getting this error, but that will be fine because we have to add that in the add video screen. In the init state, what we need to do is, after the super init, we first of all need to create a controller. So we can have late video player controller. This will be to play the videos, and we need to set the state. So the controller will be equal to video player controller dot file, and we need to pass in widget dot video file. Then we need to initialize our controller. Then we need to play the controller. We also need to set the volume for our controller, so it can be anything between 0 and 1. So you can have 0.5 as well. I'm going to pass in the full volume 1, and then we are going to allow the controller to start looping. So whenever our video stops ending, it will start looping yet again. After this, we need to return a scaffold, and in the body we are going to have a single child scroll view, and it will be a column. The column will have first of all a sized box of height 30. So let me have a height 30. Then first we haven't added the children property, so let me add that. Let me put a comma here so that I can format the document. And after the sized box, we need to have a video player controller, but we need to give some size to it. So what we can have is another sized box giving it some dimensions. So we can have width, which will be media query dot of context dot size dot width, and the height is going to be media query dot of context dot size dot height divided by 1.5. Then the child will be video player, and we'll have to pass in the controller to the video player because that's what it accepts, video player controller, as you can see. Now we need to pass in another sized box of height 30, and there will be a single child scroll view. So now this single child scroll view is going to be scroll direction axis dot vertical, and the child will be a column which will be main axis alignment of main axis alignment dot space evenly. Then there will be children, and the children will first of all have a container which will be having a margin like we did for our previous text fields as well. So we can have media query dot of context dot size dot width minus 20, and let's see why we are getting this error. So we need to pass in this. So we can do edge insets dot only, and from the left we want 10, and from the right we want 10, and for the width we need this. Or you can even do symmetric like I showed it to you previously. You can have symmetric horizontal 10, and you can put a const over here. Now we need a child, and the child will be text input field, and we need to pass in some stuff. So the controller we want is song controller, which we'll create. Then the label text will be a song name, and the icon is going to be icons dot music underscore note. Let's save this much, and after that we'll again need our sized box. So refer to the image in the right, and the height will be 10. You can again put const over here. Now you'll again need a container, so we can have that, and there will be now a caption. So you can have caption, and this will be named caption controller. Caption icon will be closed underscore caption, and finally after that we will again have a sized box, and then an elevated button, and the child will be text which says share. Style will be text style, and the font size will be 20, and color will be colors dot white. Right, now let me put that as a const, and now it works. Now let me go to the top and create the controllers for us. So the first controller we need is a text editing controller, and that will be a song controller equal to the text editing controller. We also need a captions controller, so we can have caption controller, and after that this is pretty much it. Now we should be able to see our stuff happening, but in the add video screen we need to pass in the parameter so that we can see the changes happening. In the top, what we need to pass in is a video path. So our video file is going to be video.path, and we have to pass in a file, so it will be video.path file. And now let me import the .io package, and we need a video path which will be video.path. And now you can see that the video is of the type X file and it can be null, but we are not putting any null value like null check over here, right? This is because we have already checked if video is not equal to null, so we don't have to put this. But in case we don't put this, you can see that we are getting an error. If we put exclamation mark, our error goes away. But for now we are going to check if video is not equal to null. Now let me restart the app and let's see if we are getting any error. No. Let's add a video, go to my gallery and choose this file. As long as it's compressing, we can see that there's no error, which is a good thing. And now you can see our stuff happening, but now we can't see our video showing up. Now this is because we haven't read the rules of our video player as well, which is not a good thing. We have to pass in these permissions to our info.plist file. So let me go to our info.plist file. I've copied these rules from here and we have to paste that down over here. We have to pass that, we have to save that, and we have to stop our app, and we can run that app again. So now let's see if we are getting any error. Alright, our app is loaded, and now if we go to the add video screen and we select from gallery, let's select this and choose, and we go to the next screen, you can see our preview video showing up here, and we can have a song name and a caption. Also, if we go over here in our confirm video screen, just to make sure that we have song controller and caption controller, yeah, we do have, which is a good thing. Now the next thing we need to work on is whenever we click on the share button, our video gets shared. So now let's create a upload video controller. So here I'm going to type in upload video controller dot, and first let's name this class upload video controller, and we're going to make it extend the GetX controller. So let's type in GetX controller. Yeah, now we have our class, and make sure to import get so that we have all the get classes that we can access and not just one class, else it will become very messy imports. Alright, now let's create a function to upload the video. So we can create upload video function. So let's call it upload video, and here we are going to have a song name, then we will need a caption, then the video path, which will be a string, not a file, because we are directly going to get the video path. Over here you can see we directly have a video path, so why not just use that. Cool. Now we are going to have a try and catch block. Since this function is going to be asynchronous, we'll also add that in a while. We'll add the async mark over here. Now we need the UID of the user. So first of all, we will call Firebase auth.currentUser.uid. And now we need all the users so that we can access some stuff. So you can have document snapshot user doc is equal to await firestore dot collection users dot document uid dot get, so that we can store the user profile photo, user all of that stuff, username, all of that in the controller, in the database, in the video. While we are saving the video, we will need all of that stuff so that we can directly display them while displaying it, and not make 2 to 3 requests while just displaying the videos, right? So now to get the ID, what we are going to do is not use any package like UID or anything, but we are going to use a very smart way. Let's see this. So to get the video ID basically, so it's going to be var, and we're going to get all the documents which will be equal to Firebase Firestore. It says Firestore. Let me name it correctly. Firestore dot collection videos dot get. With this, we are getting the all the videos, document snapshots, query snapshot, not document snapshot, because we are calling it on collection and not document. And then what we need is the length of all, like how many documents does this video collection have. So we are going to do all docs dot length. So with this, we are getting the length of all the documents available in the video collection. Now we need to upload the video. So we need the video URL. But how are we going to do it? Before uploading the video to the storage, we need to make sure that we are actually, compressing the video. So let's create a function, upload video to storage, and we're going to pass to it our ID. So let's have our ID, which is video $length. That means video 0, video 1, video 2, like that. Then the video path. Now I'm going to create another function which will be called upload video to storage. We can have that over here. And it will accept a string ID and it will have a string video path. Then what we need to do is, create a reference. So let's have a ref, which is equal to Firebase storage dot reference, and the folder name is going to be videos, and the child is going to be ID. That means the second subfolder, not the second subfolder, my bad. This is going to be the video ID. So that means this video 0, video 1, video 2, that's going to be the file name. Then we will have to put this. So we'll have ref.put file, and before putting the file, we need to make sure that we compress the video. So let's create a function called compress video, and we'll have to pass in the video path because it needs a video path to compress the video. So let's create a function called compress video again. All of these classes are marked private so that we can't access them outside of this class, which will be a good thing and doesn't confuse us. So here we have our video path. And now we need to compress the video. To compress the video, we are going to use a package known as video compress. The link will be mentioned in the description below. So we can copy this, add this to our PubSpec assist, and click on enter. We can stop our app from running, and then we can make the app run again so that in the background it's running. And we don't have to make any extra configurations for this. You can go in the installing tab and check it. There is no external configurations to do, right? So now we can compress the video. To compress the video, what we need to do is call the video compress class, and then call the compress video method on it. And we need a path to it, so we'll pass in the video path. Now there are a bunch of configurations you can make with it. You can see that you can even crop the videos, but what we are going to do is set the quality, which is the video quality, and we are going to keep that at medium quality. You can even do other qualities, like if you do full stop and find it out, there's a bunch of qualities you can find out, but we are going to go with medium quality so that it's not too bad and not, doesn't take much space as well. Now if you hover over this, you will find out that it's a future. So to fix that, we'll have to do await and then pass in async. Now we are going to name this final compressed video, which will be equal to this, and we are going to return the compressed video. And you can see that the compressed video is a media info. So to get the file of this, we can do compressed video with an exclamation mark dot file, and we should get this. this is a file, right? Now we have to take this compressed video, which will now be a future. So we need to await this because we used async over here. We have to await this, and this will become async as well. So now we will put this file in our database, and then we need to get the download URL. So as we are familiar, we will do task snapshot snap, which will equal to upload task, which will be actually upload task, and we have to name this upload task. So we'll name this upload task equal to the ref.put file. Then we have the snapshot, so we can get the download URL, which will be equal to await snap.ref.get download URL. Then you can simply return the download URL, and this is the upload video to storage function. So if you want, you can just make the type future string of upload video to storage. This completes the task of uploading the video to storage and also compressing the video behind the scenes. So we have the upload video to storage function done. So after this is done, we will get a video URL. So we can have that, and we can save this much. We also need to await this because it will return a future string. So we need to await it. And then we need to upload the image to storage. Now what is this image? This image is the thumbnail that we are going to auto generate from the video that we are watching. So again, we'll pass in the video ID, which is the video $length, then the video path. Then we are going to take this function, and now we are going to create this function as well. So we can paste this. We can have string ID, string video path, and then we can again create a reference. So we can copy this line only and paste it. And instead of putting videos, we can put thumbnails. Then what we need to do is put the file of thumbnails. So actually we can even copy these 4 lines because they are very pretty similar lines. And instead of putting in compressed video, we need to put in get thumbnail, let's say, because we don't have to compress the thumbnail. We don't have a thumbnail. So we need to do get thumbnail and then all of these tasks, like getting the upload task, awaiting that, getting the download URL, and returning the download URL. And we can name this future string as well. So we can take this function. We will create that. We will create this get thumbnail function. So let's create it here only. And it's going to be string video path, and it's going to be asynchronous. And then we are going to get the thumbnail. How are we going to get the thumbnail? Because of this package, video compress. This allows us to do multiple stuff, including getting the thumbnail automatically. So we can have final thumbnail equal to await video compress dot get file thumbnail, and we have to pass in the video path over here. Then we can basically return the thumbnail, and we can save this thumbnail over here. Alright, now we got the thumbnail as well. Now let's try uploading the video to our storage finally. So over here we will get the thumbnail, which will be equal to this, and we need to await it. Let's see why we are getting this error. Okay, we need to put a space over here. We didn't put that. Now we have to upload the video to our Firebase. But as we know, we don't upload it directly to Firebase like for our collections. What we do is create a model. So let's create a video model. So we have video.dart, and the video.dart is going to have multiple properties. But before that, let's create a video class. And what are the properties going to be? String username, string UID, string ID of the video, then the list of likes on the video. We are not storing the comments as a property on the video class, but we are going to save it as sub collection, so we can't have this in our this class. Then we are going to have the comment count, then the share count. Only the count is going to be there. The comments are going to be in the sub collection. Then we are going to have the song name, then a caption, Let me put a comma over here for semicolon. Then a video URL and a thumbnail, and finally what we need is a profile photo of the user. Then we need to add this constructor over here. So I'll create the constructor which will require all of this, and see you later. Alright, we have required all of these properties through our constructor. So now let's create the from snapshot and two JSON function that we created in the user class. So we will have a map string dynamic, and we'll have two JSON, the name of the function. Then we're going to return a map. So let's return a curly bracket, and then we're going to have our username. So we can have this username, then the UID, and you have to follow for all the properties. So I'll do that again and see you all later. Alright, so we have a two JSON function here as well. Now let's create our from snap function. So we'll have video from snap document snapshot snap. Then we're going to have the snapshot equal to snap.data, and we're going to treat this data as map of string comma dynamic, and then we're going to return this video model, and we will have to pass in all the stuff. So we'll have to do snapshot username and everything like this for all the fields. So I'll do that and see you all later. Alright, so we have our from snap function here as well. Now we can create a video instance of the video class. So we can have video equal to video, and then the username is going to be user doc that we created on the top here, user doc dot data, which can be null, and we're going to treat this as map of string comma dynamic, and we're going to name this name. As we can see for our user class over here, we have that name. Now we have the UID as UID, then the video ID is going to be video $length, as we had over here and here. Then the likes is going to be an empty list, comment count is going to be initially 0, share count is going to be 0. All of this is the same name, and the profile photo finally is going to be similar to this because we are fetching it from the Firebase collection. So we can have this, and instead of name we can have profile photo. Finally we just have to put a full stop, and then we can go back and our video instance of the video class is created. So now we basically need to save this to our collection. So we can have firestore.collection videos.doc video $length dot set, and we need to set this so we can have video dot to JSON, similar to that we did in the auth controller. Then what we need to do is show a snack bar if there is an error. So we can do get.snackbar error uploading video, and the message is going to be e.toString. Then we can save this much. And now when we have this and we save this in our collection, after it is saved, we need to make sure that the user gets to know that we have successfully uploaded, or instead of that, we can just go back to the main screen to tell the user that we have done it. So we can just use get.back, which will push us to the previous page, and we can save this much. We can restart our app and let's try to upload it. So we can go over here, add video. Then we can select from gallery because this has no camera. Then we can choose this file. Note that this is not compressing the video that we have done. This compressing video is default by the iOS simulator, that iOS gallery that has happened automatically by the iOS, basically iPhone operating system. Now let's pass in a song name. So we can have the song name, let's say none, and we can have the caption nice trip, and we can share this. This will take a while, so let's wait for it. And only when we go back to the previous screen do we know that we have got some output basically in our Firestore. And this is not working because, well, we haven't connected our function of upload video anywhere to our UI. So let's go to our confirm screen. And first of all, we will need to first initialize this controller. So to do that, what we can do is call upload video controller. We can name this upload video controller equal to, and we will put get dot put, and we can put this upload video controller. Then we can go to the top, and instead of importing instance manager, we can import get class. Alright, so now let's save this much and take the upload video controller and bind it on our onPressed. So over here we can have upload video controller dot, and we can have upload video. Now we need the song name, so we can have song name controller dot text, then the caption controller dot text, and finally the video path, which is the video path. So we can have widget dot video path. Now let's see what we have named them. So they are not private, so we can make them private, and we can fix these errors by going over here and naming them like this. Finally, the song name controller is also going to be similar like this. It's not song name, it's just song controller, and we can have this. So let's save this much and rerun our app to see what we're getting now. So let's add our video again. We can choose the file. Then we need to pass in song name. So we can have none again, nice trip, and then we can click on share. Now you can see upload video controller has been created and initialized. You can ignore this error, that is nothing any error, but just a tip what we can do. Alright, now let's wait for it. This should happen in a while. And we went back to our previous screen, which is this dialog box. And if we refresh our collections, then we should be able to see the videos collection, and the ID is video 0. That's exactly what we wanted, because the number of collections initially were 0. So there is video 0. If we upload another video, that will come as video 1. And we have this, which looks pretty amazing. And if we go to our storage and we have our thumbnails, the thumbnail will be auto-generated and it should be a street, which is looking good. Then we have our videos, the video 0 as well. And if we click over here, we'll be able to see the whole video, which is compressed. That's good as well. So our confirm screen and all of that stuff is done. Now let's try to display the screen or display the videos on this home screen, and then we can work on the like comment functionality. So now let's create a screen named as video screen dot, and we're going to have a stateless widget for this as well. So let's first of all import the material package, then create a stateless widget called video screen, and it will be a scaffold which will return actually a scaffold only. And then we are going to return this video screen, but let's go to our constants.dart file, and instead of the home screen, we can have the video screen. We can have this, and let's save this much. Then to return in the scaffold, what we need, let's decide that. So over here, we have our image, and in the image, you can see that first of all, we need a sort of page where if we scroll even a bit, it goes to the next page, similar to that of the TikTok. Then we need a video which is displaying in the background, and over it we need a bunch of options like, this image, the set of icons with their icon count, then this circular icon that is revolving, then over here the username, the description, and the song name. So we need all of these components. So since they are one upon each other, so what we can do is in the body we can return, first of all, we'll have to return a page view controller, because as I said, we need a kind of layout where we just scroll a bit and it goes to the next page. So we will have a page view dot builder. Then the item builder will have a context and an index. Then instead of index, it will be index. Alright, now let's see this much. it will format it for us, that's why. So over here we have to return a stack, so let's return a stack. And before that we need to have an item count, which we will have, then a controller, which will be the page controller, and we will have to mark some options like initial page will be set to 0 and the viewport fraction will be 1. Then the scroll direction is going to be vertical and not horizontal, so we can have access dot vertical because we need to scroll vertically, right? Then in the stack we'll have children, and the first child is going to be the video player, right? So we can have video player, and this is not what we want. We need to create another widget for it, which will be named video player item dot, and this is going to be a stateful widget because we have to initialize the controller and all of that stuff. So we can have import material and we'll create a stateful widget, which will be a video player item. Then we have to return a container, basically, which will be of the entire width. So we can have, first of all, let's create a variable called final size, which will be equal to media query dot of context dot size dot height. Not height, sorry, it will just be size because we need to access the width as well. So we can have size dot width, height can be size dot height, and this much. And the decoration will be, well, we just want the background to be black, which will be constant box decoration color as colors dot black. Now in the child we want a video player, so we can have video player, and the video player will take in a video player controller. So let's create that. So we will have late video player controller, and then we can have an init state where we take care of this video player controller. So we can have video player controller equal to video player controller dot, actually we will need network because we are getting the video URL through which we are going to play. So we are going to have widget dot video URL, and we have to accept that from our constructor. We will do that. But as you can see, this video player controller and the video player plugin that we are using is very useful. We can call the file on it, dot asset on it. So basically with this, you are able to play any file, any video file, wherever it is, which is a pretty good thing. So on the top, let's first import it from our constructor. So our video URL, and then we are going to require this field. So we're going to have required this dot video URL, save this much. Then we need to make sure that we initialize it. So we can do dot initialize, and after that is initialized, we can call then, and then we'll get a value. For this value, we are going to have video player controller dot play, and we can set the volume to video player controller dot set volume. And we are not going to set the looping to true because we don't want looping. We just want it to show it once. Then over here in the video player controller, we can pass in the video player controller, and we also need another bracket over here. Let's save this much. We also need to add a dispose functionality, and as a matter of fact, we didn't do that for the above function, like for our other class, which is the confirm screen. So we can do that for that as well, else it will keep playing as long as we are on the screen. So we can go to our confirm screen, and over here we can set dispose method. Then we can have controller dot dispose. This is a good practice because it solves the memory leaks that we will be having, or we can have actually, right? So that is done. Let's go to, we are now in the video screen, and over here instead of showing video player screen, we can have video player item, and we have to pass in the video URL, which is this, and we'll have to get the video URL first. So let's So we'll create that logic in a while, but before that, let's have our UI fixed. So we can have column now. Now why do we need this column? To show this part right here, and also we need to have this part over here. That's why we need a column. So now in our column we're going to have children, and the first is going to leave some height, so we can have const sized box height 100. Then we can have an expanded with a child row. Then the row is going to be having children, and inside the children we will need an expanded widget again, which will be which will have child as container with some padding, const edge insets dot only, and from the left we want 20. So this is the UI that we are going to create. So yeah, after this padding in the child, what we want is here, the child that we want is a column, and the column will have main axis size of main axis size dot minimum, and a cross axis alignment of cross axis alignment dot start. We also need a main axis alignment of main axis alignment dot space evenly. That's a lot of options, I know, but yeah. And we are not able to format the document because we are getting errors. So for now we can comment this, and then we can just uncomment this for a while. Then the column will have children, and the children will have text of, well, first of all the username, so we can have that. Then the style is going to be constant text style, and we can have font size of 20 and color of colors dot white, and we're going to even bold it, so we can have font weight dot bold. Alright, after this text we need to show the description or the caption, so we can have this, and we can pass in caption, and the font size we will decrease for this, and we'll remove the bold from here. Then we need the row elements, so that we can have this part over here, which is an icon of music and the song name. So we can have row, and children is going to be constant icons dot music underscore note. The size is going to be 15, and color is going to be colors dot white. After that we are going to have a song name, so we can have a text which is going to be song name, and the font size again will be 15, and we're going to bold it. So these are the default options that we're going to carry out. Now let's refresh our app and see how it's looking. It's coming over here as you can see, but we want it over here in the bottom. So what we can do is go to the top, and first of all in the row we can have main axis size as main axis size dot max, and in the cross axis alignment we can have cross axis alignment dot end. And now this comes into place in the bottom that we wanted. Alright, now our video isn't showing up, that's just because we have no video to show. Now over here we also need a container in the row itself, so that we can have a width of 100 over here, and we have to create this set of icons over here: the profile photo, the heart icon, the comment, and the share count. So we can have a margin of edge insets dot only, and from the top we are going to have media query dot context dot size, but we are going to need that very often, so we can create a size variable over here at the top so that we can reuse this. So you can have media query dot of context dot size, and we can take the size variable, go to the bottom, and we can have size dot height divided by 5. Then we need a child of column, and it will have main axis alignment of main axis alignment dot space evenly, not around, space evenly. Then we can have children, and the first thing we need is a profile picture over here. So what we're going to do is create a function at the top over here. We're going to have a build profile function, which will take in a string of profile photo, and we are going to return a sized box which will have a fixed width and a height. So it can have width 50, height 60, let's say. So we can have the width also 60. And then the child is going to be stack. Then in the stack, let's format this a bit. So in our stack, what we can have is children. And now children is going to be positioned, and from the left we will have positioned from the left we will have 30 minus 25, so we will have 5, let's say. And the child is going to be container, which is going to be the width 50, height 50, and then a padding of const edge insets dot all 1. Then we need to pass in decoration, which will be box decoration. Color is going to be colors dot white, and there is going to be a border radius, so we can have border radius as border radius dot circular 25. After that, we are going to have a child of which is an image basically, so we can have image, and the image is going to have a property image of network image, and we are going to pass in the profile photo URL that we'll get, and the fit is going to be box fit dot cover. After saving this, we can wrap this with a clip rect so that we can get some border radius, so we can have some rounded effect. So we can have clip rect. The border radius is going to be border radius dot circular 25. Then we can save it again. We can take this build profile from here and go to the bottom, and in our children we are going to pass in the build profile function where we are going to pass in the URL. So we can have string URL. For now it will show us an error, but that's fine. Then we need a column of list of these elements right here. So let's create that. So we can have another column, and we can have children, and the first child is going to be icons dot favorite. Size is going to be 40. Color is going to be colors dot red or colors dot white. For now let's put colors dot red, so that we get to know that we need to change this, else we'll forget that. And also in our icon we have to wrap this with a widget known as inkwell, so that we get the nice on tap functionality. So we can add that on tap. Then we can copy this inkwell, and before doing that we also need to space out elements, so we can have a constant size box of height 7. Now we can copy this and we can paste it down 2 more times. So the next thing we want is, but before doing that, actually what we are planning to do now is not this. So we have a column of inkwell, and that means that we have this favorite icon over here. The next thing we want over here is this text over here. So what we can have is text, and we can say, let's say 2200 likes, and style is going to be constant text style of font size 20 and colors dot white. We are ignoring all the warnings for now because we know that we are going to replace all of these values with some dynamic values. Now what we can do is copy this column from here, and we can paste it down 2 more times. So we will have icons dot comment, and it will show us 2. Actually we're just going to show the number, so we can have this much 2. And lastly we want a share icon, so what we can do is have an icon which says icons dot reply, and the share count over here can be, let's say 2. We can save this much, and you can see we are getting this error, but that's fine, and we can have all of these icons. But all of these icons aren't looking cool because we have given the color red. We have to replace these with colors dot white. Now it looks good. Amazing. So now after this column, final thing that we need is a circle animation. So we can have a circle animation. This widget we are going to build, and the child is going to be something known as a build music album, and we're going to pass in the profile photo here as well. So let's say profile photo, and we have to create this widget. So we can go over here, and in the widgets folder we can have circle animation dot. Now obviously this is going to be a stateful widget, so we can have a stateful widget. We're going to call it circle animation. Then we're going to return rotation transition widget, which will keep on rotating basically. And now it will have something known as turns, and we are going to use tween animations for this, which will begin from 0, end at 1, and we need to animate this, and for that we need a controller, and we are going to create that controller now. So this controller will be late animation controller, and we're going to call the init state function. And now we're going to do controller equal to animation controller, and vsync is going to be this class. Then the duration is going to be constant duration of milliseconds 5000, let's say, which is 5 seconds. And we can save this, and we're getting this error because over here we have to implement the mixin. We can do that with the with keyword, and we can have with single tick provider state mixin. We can save this much, and our error is gone. Now we can do controller dot forward and a controller dot repeat. After this is done, we can animate the controller, but we don't have to forget that we even need to dispose this controller. So let's do that. So we can have controller dot dispose. Cool. Now after this turns, we need to pass in a child, and the child is whatever the constructor gives us. So we can have that final widget child, and this is going to be required this dot widget, this dot child actually, not widget. And this is because type animation int can't be assigned to the parameter type animation double. So basically this is an int and not a double. This is because we have passed in 0 and 1. What we can do is pass in 0.0 and 1.0. So this will make it a double and not an int. And the child can be widget dot child. We can save this much, go over here and import the circle animation, and we're going to create this build music album function right now. So we can go to the top of our file and let's actually build a music album. It will again receive some profile pic, so we can have profile photo, and now we're going to return the sized box again. So we can have return sized box, and with a width of 60 and a height of 60, we need to pass in a child, which will be a column, and it will have children. The first child is going to be a container which has a padding of edge insets dot all 11. Then we need to pass in height 50, width 50. This is all that we've done in the upper function as well, and from now this thing will change. So what we need to pass in is a decoration, which will be a box decoration, and it will have something known as gradient, which is the gradient of colors, and we can have constant linear gradient of colors, and the colors list is going to be colors dot gray, and let's say colors dot white. Now we can go over here, format this document, and over here we have to return a semicolon. We have to put a semicolon. So now we have this. In the decoration, the next thing we want is after gradient, we need to pass in a border radius. So it will be border radius dot circular 25, and then there will be a child which will be clip r rect, and it will have a border radius of border radius dot circular 25, then a child of image will be the network image, and we're going to pass in the profile photo, and the fit is going to be box fit dot cover, and we can see this much. Now we can take this build music album and go to the bottom, and we have put that. So let's try to refresh our app and let's see. This is revolving, which is a good thing. Now we only need to get the controllers right. So all our logic stuff we need to get in. So let's do that. So now let's create our controller right here. So what can we name it? Let's say video controller dot. And here we are going to first let's just import the get dot package, else it will return multiple packages which we don't want. Then we can have video controller, which can extend the GetX controller, and then we are going to have a final rx of list of video, and we have created this video class, a video model in our models over here. You can see that. So over here we are going to make it an observable so that we can bind some stream to it and display the videos continuously real time. So we are going to have this. So let me just copy this, and we are going to give it an initial value of empty brackets because initially there are no videos. And let's create a getter as well, and the getter is going to be list of video, and we can create that video list, and we're going to do video list dot value. Now make sure to make this private, and this is going to get public, else both of them will be public, and that will be a problem. You can see over here. So this is going to be private so that we can access this only in this class, and then if you want the value you can use this get value right here. Cool. Now let's create an onInit function. We already know what init does. It runs when the class first is initialized. Then we can do video list dot bind stream. Now what are we going to bind the stream to? Well, this collection of videos, right? So what we can do is firestore dot collection of videos dot snapshots, right? Now, but we need to map this snapshot so that we can store this snapshot value, each and every video over here in this list. So what you can do is dot map so that it goes through every snapshot over here. For now it's just video 0, but in the future it will be video 1, video 2 as well. Now it will receive the event will be query snapshot, which will be named, let's say, query, and we are going to turn this arrow function to our normal lambda function, anonymous function basically. And now we are going to create a list of video, which will be a return value, and it is going to be an empty bracket. Now we are going to run a foreign loop. So what we can do is for element in query.docs, we are going to add the element to this return value array. So what we can do is video dot from snap function that we had created, because over here we are going to get the query snapshot, and then we can pass that query snapshot over here, which is the query.docs, which will give us the document snapshot, right? Query document snapshot, which is like a sub collection or sub part of the query document snapshot. After having that, we need to simply return the return value array so that it gets binded to the, well, basically it gets mapped, and all of this is converted to a stream and is saved in the video list. So anytime a new video is uploaded, it will get shown real time. Now we have that. What we can do is, well, now we can go to the video screen. So actually let's close all the saved files because it is creating a lot of mess. And now we can go to the video screen. And right here, first of all, we have to get our video controller. So what we can have is final video controller is equal to get.put, and we have to pass in the video controller. We're getting this error for get. So what we can do is import, and we're going to call get.dart. and we have to remove this constant because we are creating a final variable. And now we have to, and this is not going to be pages anymore. It's not going to be constant, so we can have list of pages because this is not a constant now. And we can add a constant for the add video screen. Right, now in our going to add a video screen, what we can do is wrap this whole thing, wrap this page view builder with a widget, and that widget will be called something as OBX. This OBX is a very useful feature, but now this page view builder will get wrapped by a widget which will be similar to a builder. So we can have wrap with stream builder, and we're not going to wrap it with the stream builder, but it's similar to a builder, so we can have this. We are going to remove this and we're going to call in OBX. Now with this OBX, we are able to get the changes real time and listen to the value real time. So now what we can do is remove this from here because it's not going to have any parameters or arguments passing in, and we're going to return this. Cool. Now what we want to do is pass in this over here. So the video URL. Now what is the video URL going to be? So well, it's going to be something like video controller dot video list, which is the getter that we created, and we want only one, right? So we are going to grab with the index property in the item builder, and then we're going to call dot video URL property over it. But now we will need some other properties as well, like username and description and all of that stuff. So instead what we can do is take this from here and create a separate variable to put it in. So we can have final data and we can put this. Now we can do data.video URL, which is a pretty good thing. Now if we save this, we should be seeing our data coming over here. Now what we want to do is go to the bottom, and in the username we can pass in data.username. In the caption we can have data.caption. Then we can have in the song name data.song name. And this is a use of models, as you can see. We are not, there is no chance of any error because we are directly calling the data.song name, which is a property in our video class. So we are getting this nice auto suggestions as well, which is pretty nice. And over here we can have data.likes, and let's see why we are getting this error. This is a list. So to fix that, we can have .length .toString. Now we can go over here in the comment, and we can have data.comment_count.toString. And finally the share, so we can have data.shareCount.toString. You can save this much, and we need to also pass in the profile photo. So what we can have is data.profilePhoto, and on the top, instead of, and here we can include we can remove the warnings by just typing in a constant. That's pretty good. Over here as well for the like. And in the build profile, we are again going to pass in data.profilePhoto. Alright, now we're getting error over here. So that is because we need to pass in the item count. Now the item count is going to be video controller dot video list dot length, because this is an array. So we can call the length function over here. Now let's refresh that, and you can see that we are not getting any error and our video is showing up, which is pretty cool. So let's go to our video controller now and work on the like functionality. So we'll create a function like video, and it will accept the video ID. So we'll accept that string ID, and then we'll create an asynchronous function. Now let's await it. So we'll have await firestore.collection videos dot document id dot get, and we're going to save it with the name document snapshot because it is of the type document snapshot. So let's put that, and now we've got the user ID. So what we can do now is first of all check if the doc.data, which we are going to have as dynamic so that we can access any value. So, and also wrap this with a bracket. And now if that likes property contains the UID of the user, and we are going to need that UID quite a bit of times, so let's create that variable up here, and we're going to name it auth controller dot user dot UID. And I don't think we're getting that auth controller dot user, and we'll have to create that user up there. So let's go to our auth controller and get the user. So we can have user get user, and we can have let's say underscore user dot value, right? And now this can be non-nullable, and now we can have user dot UID. Now if the likes property contains the UID, then what we need to do? So first of all, let's put this bracket right here, actually over here, and then a bracket over here. So if not ID, if doc.data, so if doc.data contains the UID, so that means that the likes property over here contains the UID, then we need to remove the UID. So what we can do is await firestore dot collection videos dot doc ID dot update, and we have to update the likes property. So we can do likes, and we can have field value dot array remove, and we're going to remove the UID from here. Else what do we want? Else we basically just want the likes array, well, the likes property to have the array union property. So basically if the like property contains the UID, that means we have already liked, so we need to remove the dislike, remove the like, because if we click once we need to add the like, and if it's already there, if we click, we need to remove the like, right? So we'll do array union over here in the else condition. Now we can take this like video property, go to our like, and what we can do is controller, what was the name of our controller? I forgot. I think that's video controller. So we can have video controller dot like video, and we have to pass in the ID. So what is the ID going to be? Data dot ID, and we can save. Now if we run this, we should be seeing the like, and if we click over here, it increased to 1. It's real time, and we didn't have to make any extra configurations for this. Well, it's only because we have used OBX, right? Now if we again click, it turned to 0, but the only problem is the like color over here. So what we can do is over here we can check if data dot likes dot contains the auth controller dot user dot UID. So if it contains already, then we want colors dot red, else we want colors dot white, and we can remove this constant from here because it's dynamic. It's now dynamic because we are using data dot likes. And now if we run our app, we should be seeing. So if I click on like, it changed to 1, again it changed to 0, again it changed to 1, and now if I restart my app, I should be seeing this state showing up, and it is 1. Now let's work on the comment functionality. So now for the comment, we'll have to create a new screen, because whenever we click on the comment icon over here, we should be able to see a screen something like this. So let's create that. So in our screens, we can have comment underscore screen dot dart, and we can import the material package, and then we can have a stateless widget which will be called comment screen. Then we'll have to return a scaffold, and in that scaffold we'll have a body. For now, let's just keep it a center text which just says display comments, right? And now we'll have to navigate to the from the video screen. So let's close all of these files, and whenever we click on the comment icon over here, we should be able to go to the other screen. So what we can do is navigator dot of context dot push material page route, and we can have the builder as the context, and we can pass in the comment screen. We can put comma separating over here, and now we can put constant, which is nice. Now, whenever we click over here, we should be able to go to the comment screen, and we are going there. So the first thing, as you can see, we want this box to show up, which is the comment box. So let's create that. To do that, we can go to our code again, and in the comment screen, what we can do is, in the body, we can replace this with a single child scroll view so that we don't get that render flex issue that we usually get. And then in the child, we can have a sized box, and the sized box is going to have a width of, and we'll have to create a size variable, so that can be final size, which is equal to media query. So we can have media query, let me rename it, media query dot of context dot size, and then we can take the size variable and call size dot width, and the height can be size dot height. Then the child can be a column, which is children, and the children will be, first of all, we will have to wrap it with an expanded, because after displaying all of these comments, which will take the maximum space, we need to display this comment part as well. So now the child is going to be a list view. So list view dot builder, and we will get a context and an index, and after that we can just return a list style. So the list style will have a leading element of circle avatar, which will be this part right here. So the circle avatar will have a background color of colors.black. That means as long as it's not showing up or we got any error. And then it will have a background image of network image, and the network image is going to be the profile photo. So we can just type profile photo for now. We're going to ignore the warnings like we did for the previous UI. We are going to fix that after we put in the dynamic values. Then we need a row and we'll pass in children, which is the username and the whatever the comment is. So we can have text, and there will be username. Then the style will be a constant text style, and the font size is going to be 20. We're going to have a color of colors.red, and then a font weight of fontweight.w700, not bold. Then we can have another text, so we can just put this, and we can type in the comment description, let's say, and this is going to be colors.white. We will have the same font size because they shouldn't look weird with one small and one big. And then we can remove the font weight, or we can just reduce the font weight to W500. After that, we need a subtitle. So after this row element, we can put a subtitle. Make sure that we are in the title. Okay, we need to get out of this row, and we can put in the subtitle. Now the subtitle will have 2 days ago and the number of likes on the comment. So we can put that. So we can have row, and it will be children, and first of all this will have a date, and we need to get some styling. So the styling is going to be text style, and then the font size is going to be 12. Color is going to be colors.white. We can save this, and after that we will put some a bit of spacing here. So we can have a constant sized box of width 10. After that we can again have a text which says 10 likes, let's say, and we will have a style of constant text style, and the font size is going to be 12 with color as colors.white. We can save this much, and let's see, we are getting many comments, and that is because we haven't specified the item count, which we have to in our list view builder. So what we can do is, here we can specify the item count for now to be 1. We can save this much, and now you can see 1 comment showing up, which is pretty good. Now what we need to do is add a trailing element as well, which is this part right here, which is a heart icon. So we can put here trailing, and the icon can be icons.favorite, and the size is going to be 25 and the color is going to be colors.red. Now we will also wrap this with an inkwell widget so that it is clickable. So wrap it with a widget and call it inkwell. Now the on tap functionality will basically help us to like the comment. So that's good. And now we are getting this like functionality as well. Now after this expanded, we need to pass in a divider. And after that, we need to pass in another list style. Now this list style will contain our text field. So we can have that. So in the list style, we can have a title of text form field. And in the controller, we can pass in the comment controller, which we are going to create up here. So let's have that final text editing controller, comment controller, which is equal to text editing controller. And we can have that. We can remove the constant from here, go to our video screen, remove a constant from here as well, save this much, go back to our comment screen class and pass in the comment controller. Now we are going to have a style of constant text style, and the font size is going to be 16, color is going to be colors.white because it is a black background, right? And now we want a decoration of constant input decoration, and the input decoration will have a label text of comment, a label style of text style, and then the font size is going to be 20, color is going to be colors.white, and a font weight of fontweight.w 700. After doing this much, what you can do is have an enabled border as well. So you can go in the input decoration again and have, actually outside the input decoration we will, so over here we can have enabled border, and enabled border will have underline input border, and the border side will have border side of border side color of colors.red. Then we can have a focused border, and again we can have an underline input border, and the color will be colors.red again. So now we can save this much, but before that we are not complete yet. So after this list style and a title, we want a send button as well. You can see over here that we have a send button. So inside over here we can have a trailing option, and that will be a text button, and it will have a child of constant text which will just say send, and the style is going to be text style, font size 16, and color as colors.white. Then we can even have an on pressed functionality, and which is going to be an empty bracket. Now this send is going to be send, not misspelled, and we have a send over here which is looking pretty good. Now let's create a comment controller and have a logic in there. So over here we can have comment underscore controller dot, and first of all let's again import the get package. So get dot. Then we'll again create a comment controller class which will extend our GetX class. So now the first thing we need is the list of comments. So we can have again an observable. So we can have rx list of comment, and we'll have to create this comment class which is a model. So we can go over here and create the comment dot model, right? And now the comment model will be having a class comment, and it will have a string of username, string comment, a date published, and it's going to be final because we are going to receive it as a timestamp which is given by Firebase, but we are going to send it as a date time, and it is going to be a list of likes. Then we are going to have a profile photo, so string profile photo, string UID, string ID. Then we can create a constructor which is comment, and we can have required this dot username, and I'm going to require all of this again and see you after I require. After creating this constructor, we need again a toJSON function, so we can create that. So we can have map string dynamic toJSON, and we can return a map. And I'll see you again after I complete all of these values. Our toJSON function is ready, and the last thing we want is our from snap. So we can have from snap as well, which will take in a document snapshot, a snap, and we can create a snapshot variable which will be snap.data. We have to name this snap, not snow, and we have to take this as a map of string comma dynamic, and now we have to return the comment. I'll see you again after filling in all the values. So now our from snapshot ready, our from snapshot function is also ready. Now we can go in our username comment controller and import the comment class and then list, and we can call this comments, and then we can take this, put in the default value as a list of comments, and then we can create a getter, and we can have comments dot value. Now the first thing we need is the post ID, so that we can update that post's comments. So we need a post ID which will be a global variable. But how do we get this post ID, right? So we are going to call the update. We are going to pass in the update post ID method, which will be a string which will receive the ID of the post, and then we are going to set the post ID equal to the ID, and then we are going to call the get comments functionality which we are going to create. Right, so this will update the post ID with for us, and we have to call this function as soon as the app builds. So we'll call this in the build function in the stateless widget, or if you want, you can convert it into a stateful widget and call it in the init state. So now let's create a get comment, and it will be asynchronous. And now we will get the comments for this, but before getting the comments, we need to make sure that we even post the comment. So we'll create a post comment, and we're going to call it string comment text, and it is going to be asynchronous. And first we're going to check if the comment text is not empty. So if it's not empty, then we need to comment. So we can have document snapshot, which will be user doc, to get the user document basically, and we can have firestore dot collection users dot doc, and this will be the UID. So we can have auth controller dot user dot UID, and we can call the get functionality, and then we can also get the videos comments, like all the comments, so that we can get the post ID, because our post ID is going to depend on the length of the the number of comments on the video. So we can have var all docs, let's say, and we're going to have firestore dot collection videos dot doc post ID dot collection comments dot get, and now we are going to call the length, which will be all docs dot length, and now we are going to create comment, which will be a comment, and it is going to be a user model, and the username is going to be user doc dot data as dynamic, and we'll wrap this with a parenthesis, and it's going to be name. Now the comment is going to be the comment text, and we can trim that, so we can call the trim. So it will remove all the outer spaces from this text. You can even use this for the email and password and all of that stuff, but I showed it to you now. The date published is going to be datetime.now. The likes is going to be empty likes. The profile photo is going to be similar to that of the username, so we can copy this and have this. Then we can pass in the profile photo. The UID is going to be again this, and we can pass in the UID. Actually, we can do it this way, or we can just use authcontroller.user.uid. And finally, we need the comment length. I like the comment ID, so that will be comment $length. Cool. Now we can save this, and we have this much. So now let's save it to Firebase. So to do that, we can call await firestore dot not underscore but firestore, and we can have firestore dot collection videos dot document of post id dot collection comments dot doc comment dollar length dot set, and we can set the comment dot to JSON. Alright, so after that is done, we can wrap this with a try catch block, which we forgot to do. So let's have that, and we can take this whole thing from here and even this, and we can put that over here. And in the catch, what we can do is get dot snack bar title is going to be error while commenting. The message can be e.toString, and with this we should be able to post a comment. So over here in a comment screen, what we can do is first of all so we can have comment controller which is equal to get dot put, and we can put comment controller, and we're getting the same name. So what we can do is pass this as a underscore, and for the comment controller over here we can pass this. Then we can again go to the top and import the get.dart package, and we again have to wrap our list view builder with obx. So we can wrap this with a stream builder and then wrap it with a obx. So remove all of this stream and all of that stuff. Then we can have obx, and we can have this much. We can save this, and now in our obx what we need to do is go to the send part, and here we're going to have comment controller dot post comment, and we're going to pass in the comment text, which is going to be comment controller, and it's going to be with a underscore because that's a text controller. So dot text, and that is all we need to do. So we can save this much, and we go to our comment screen and we see that we're not getting a right thing, but that's fine. We need to comment, so we can say this is comment, and we can click on send, and we can see that the path is not empty. So we're getting some sort of error over here. So in our comment controller, so the error we were getting was that over here we didn't call the update post id method. So what we can do is comment controller dot update post id, and what do we need to update it with? Well, the id. And where are we going to get the id from? From the constructor. So what we can have is final string id, and we can have required this dot id. We can save this much, go over here, pass in the id as data dot id. Right, now if we save this much and go to the comment screen and again comment this and send, we should be seeing the comments displaying, and if we refresh we have a comments over here, and we can see the comment 0 showing up, which is pretty cool, and we can see our comment is there. And so if we go in the comment 0 and see, we have a date published, profile photo, everything looks very nice. But now you can see that our comment count hasn't updated because we haven't changed the value of the comment count over here. So to do that, we can go to our comment controller and well have await firestore dot collection comments dot doc post id dot get, and actually save it in a document snapshot. And then what we can do is firestore dot collection videos dot doc post id, and we can update the value over here. So the comment count is going to be comment count, and we can wrap this in a single inverted comma. So we can have doc dot data, which is this doc dot data as dynamic, and we can add the comment count. So we can have like this comment count, and we can add 1 to it. We can save this much and we can await it.
After saving it, we can rerun our app and well, let's see the comment. So here we can click on send, then we can see comment 1. Now we should be seeing one comment, but we got an error over here. Our comment count hasn't increased over here. So we have faced some issue over here in this part right here. So over here it's not comments, it's videos. We made that mistake. Now let's delete our sub collection of comments. Take this, print that over here, click on delete. And now if we rerun our app and click over here, let's comment this again and we can click on send. We're not receiving any issue. Our comment count has increased to 1, and if we refresh to see the sub collection, and now if we go to the back screen and refresh our app, we can see the comment count 1 showing up, which is pretty good. Now let's try to display all the comments. To do that, we have to go to the comment controller, and in the comment controller get comment, we need to take the comments private comment that we had created and bind it to a stream. And again we're going to do something similar to what we did for the post. So we can have firestore.collection videos.doc post id dot collection comments dot snapshots dot map, and the map will have a query snapshot and we can have that as query. We can turn this arrow function to an anonymous function, and we can have list of comment as named as return value. Then we can do for var element in query.docs. We need to add to the return value, so return value dot add, and we can do comment dot from snap and it will have an element. Now we can simply return the return value, so we can have return value, put a semicolon, put some commas, and we can save this much. Now if we try to run our app, we still be getting this error, and that's fine because over here we need to make some configurations first. Our item count over here is going to be comment controller dot comments dot length. Then in the item builder, first only we'll create the comment, and that will be equal to comment controller dot comments at index, and the profile photo can be comment controller dot not comment controller comment, because we have created that variable for this purpose to eliminate the purpose of using this big of a word again and again. Then the comment dot profile photo, comment dot username, comment dot caption, not caption, I think it's comment dot comment. Then the date, for date we are going to use a package named as time ago, so let's add that. Link will be mentioned in the description below if you want to check it out. So with this time ago package, let me stop the app execution. After that I can restart, and in the meantime that's happening, I can explain what's time ago. So first of all, let's import the time ago package, and we'll import that as t ago, and we can run without debugging. Now we can go to the bottom, and with this time ago package we can display in a format like this: 2 days ago, 3 days ago, a moment ago, something like that. So our date will be formatted according to that. So what we can do is t ago dot format, and we'll have to do comment dot date published, and since date published is going to return a timestamp, we need to convert this to a date. And now we can put a constant text style. Now the number of likes is going to be something like comment dot likes dot length likes, so that will be 0 likes, 2 likes, 3 likes. Then the on tap, we haven't made a method for it yet, but we'll make it. Then what we need is down here, this is actually what all we need, and now we can run our app without debugging. I think we figured all of it. So let's do that and wait for our app to launch. Alright, so our app has been loaded, and if we go over here, we see our comments showing up, Rivan Rana with this, and there's not much spacing between them. So what I can do is go to the comment, and in the comment.username I can use string interpolation and add some spacing like this, and now this is creating some space, which is pretty cool. So now whenever the next thing we want to do is whenever we click over here, we need to update the like counter over here. So in our comment controller, what we can do is after the post comment method, we can create a method known as like comment, and that will be string id, and that will be asynchronous function. Then we are going to call the uid because that is what we are going to need throughout the function. So user.id. Then we can have a document snapshot of doc, which will be await firestore dot collection videos dot document will be post id. Then we need to go to the collection of comments, then the comment id that we'll get from the parameter. Then we need to get it, so we can do dot get, that should be named doc. After this, we need to check if doc dot data as dynamic, and we'll call the likes over here. So we can have this and again put over here. So the likes property contains uid, and this logic is pretty similar to that of the like property, like the like functionality on this screen. That's why I'm speeding this. I'm not explaining much because I've already explained it. So firestore.collection videos dot doc post id dot collection comments dot doc id dot update, and we're going to update the likes property over here. So we can have likes, and we will do field value dot array remove, and then pass in the uid to remove. After that, we can have an else condition, and then we can take this firestore collection, put it here again, and instead of array remove, we can have array union. Let's await both of these because these are asynchronous processes, and this is all we need to do to like the comment. So after that is done, we can go over here and check. If we like and go in our videos comment sub collection comment 0, there is no like. That's because we haven't binded this like comment to our comment screen. So what we can do is in the on tab, we can do comment controller dot like comment, and we can pass in the id. And what is the id going to be? And the id is going to be comment dot id. The comment is this variable that we created up here. Now, as a bonus, before even checking, we'll have confidence in ourselves, and here we can check that if comment controller dot comment, not comment controller, but we can just use comment dot likes dot contains auth controller dot user dot uid, then we need to show the colors dot red, or we need to show colors dot white. Then we can remove this constant from here and put it there. Then we can restart our app, go over here in our like, and if we like this comment, it changes to 1. We can again remove this 0. And now to check the state if it's working or not, we can refresh our app, go to our comment, and here we can see that the state is maintained, which is pretty good. I can even put another comment. So let's say another, and click on send, or another is showing up here, and that is not liked. So that's working pretty well, and which is a good thing. And our comment is also working. So our comment part is done. Now the next thing we want to work on is the search screen. So we search for the users. So there will be a text field input over here. Then we will get the list of the users. Then we can click on any user profile, and we will be directed to the user profile screen. So let's do that. So now let's work on the search screen. So what I'm going to do is create a screen over here, search underscore screen.dart, and let's import the material package. And we're going to have a stateless widget for now. So let's call it search screen. And in that, we are going to have a scaffold first of all, and then an up bar which just says with a search, like it can have a text form field, which can basically say that please search for the user. So we can have a background color of colors.red. And actually, to see the changes, let's take this stateless widget from here, put it in the constants, and in the search screen we can have a search screen, and let's import that, and we can call this as a constant, which might change in the future, but let's keep that for now. Alright, so in the title we want text form field, and the text form field is going to have a decoration of const input decoration, and the field will be false, hint text will be search, and the hint style is going to be text style, and we'll have a font size of 18 and color of colors.white. Right, so now let's see how it's looking. If we go in the search, nothing is showing up, and that's because we've gotten an error over here. Let's see why we're getting this. Alright, so let's rerun our app and see. So over here, let's go to the search. We're still getting this error over here, and this has something to do with circle animation. So the error is that we want to dispose the controller before calling super.dispose. This has caused the error, and now if we go over here, we can see that we are not getting the error anymore. And if we go over here, our search screen search bar is also showing up, which is good. So now we can go to our search screen again, and in the body we can have a constant text which is centered, which can say search for user. So we can have a text which says search for users, and I want it to increase the size, so we can have a text style, and then we can have a font size of 25, color of colors.white, and a font weight of fontweight.bold. Let's save this and let's see what we're getting. Search for users. Now we want to display this text only if the user has not submitted the form. So what can we do? Well, we have to create a logic for our controller. So we can type over here search underscore controller dot dart, and then in our search controller, first we will import the get package. So we can have get, and after that we will need a class search controller which extends the GetX controller. So over here we are going to create a final variable which says list of user, which is the user model that we created, not the Firebase but the user model, and we are going to have a private property called searched users, and it is going to be of this type, and we're going to give it an initial value of no users are there. Alright, and now we also need to create a getter, so we can have list of user get searched users, and we're going to pass in searched users dot value, and after that we are going to search the user. So our search user is going to get a typed user, so like whatever the user is typing. So whenever the user submits the form, we are going to get this typed user parameter, and we can check on basis of that. So to make the search functionality, what we are going to use is Firebase search query. So over here, if you come to the users tab, and over here there is a filter button. So if you click over here and filter by field, you can see that if we can sort or do any sorts of stuff using this filter. So if we click on name, we can add a condition where it's less than or equal to, not equal to, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, and then you have to type in a string. So let's say I type in Rivan. It will get users based on this condition. So it just checks the ASCII code and then gets us the name or something like that. So we are going to implement this in code. So what we can do is go over here and have searched users dot bind stream that we did before, and over here we are going to bind stream to firestore dot collection users, and we can put the filter with the where method, and then we can have name, and we can check if it's greater than or equal to the typed user. Cool. and then we can get the snapshots dot map, and we will get a query snapshot over here. We can call that query, let's say, and we will again convert this to anonymous function, and then we will again have list user return value equal to an empty list, then for var element in query dot docs we can add to the return value, so return value dot add user dot from snap element. We can save this much and then return the return value. This works, and we can put a semicolon here as well. So this should work. Now we can go to our search screen, and well, first of all have our controller, which is search controller, and we'll name this search controller, and we'll put that, so get dot put, and we can put search controller. Now we will import the get package, so we can have import get dot dart. Now we have to remove this constant as I mentioned previously. Again, in our constants.dart file, we'll have to go and remove this. Now we can get this search controller, and whenever the text form field over here is clicked and pressed enter, then only we need to show the users. So what we can do is, in our text form field, we'll have a decoration, and after that we will also get an on submitted, and with that we'll receive a value, and then we can call search controller dot, and what we can type is, let's say, search user, and we need to pass in the value that we receive over here. Cool. Now we need to even check. So this is where the conditional part is going to come in. So if the field is submitted, that means the fetch has been completed, so the search user now has some value. So searched users list has some value. So what we can do is search controller dot and search users. If that is empty, then we need to show this. So that means if the list is empty, then we need to show this. Else we need to show the list view builder. So like the list of all the elements that we, like all the list tiles that we will have. So what we can do is have a list view dot builder over here, and item builder will have a context and an index. After that we will also have an item count, and item count is going to be search controller dot searched users dot length. In the item builder we are going to have, well, a list tile that will be clickable. But before doing that, let's wrap it with an inkwell, because we want it to be clickable, right? So we can have an on tap property, and we'll just pass an empty function for now, and the child will be a list tile, and we're going to return this inkwell, and we'll remove this comma and put a semicolon instead. Now the list tile will have a leading of circle avatar, and it will have a background image of network image, and the network image is going to be something related to search controller. And since we don't have to use it quite often, what we can do is create a user over here. So user, and we need to import that user model, which will be search controller dot search to users, and we'll grab the list elements by their index. Now we can take this user, and we can have user dot profile photo. We'll also put some commas so that we don't get any errors. And now if this is done and our leading is done, we can have a title, and the title is going to be username. So it can be user dot name. It will have a style of constant text style, and the font size is going to be 18, and the color is going to be colors dot white. Let's save this much. Let's reload our app and see. So now if I search, let's say Rivan, and click enter, we're not seeing anything. That is because, well, we are not wrapped this with a GetX. With an OBX. So we have to wrap this with a builder, and that will be called OBX. Now this OBX allows us to, well, listen to the changes in our app and, well, work according to them. So now if we do, let's say Rivan and click on enter, we get Rivan Ranawat showing up, which is pretty cool, right? And now the next thing we want to do is whenever we click over here, we should be seeing the profile screen. So we can create another screen called profile underscore screen dot dart. Let's import the material package. Then we'll have a stateless widget called profile screen. We have to return a scaffold. We'll do that. And over here, we will also get the UID of the user so that we can make some changes over here as well and display some stuff. So let's require this UID. And we're going to make this stateless widget profile screen in such a way that this can be accessible using this over here as well. So if we use the widget here, it will be showing all the stuff correctly. So we are going to reuse this widget when we click over here and over here. Cool. So now in the scaffold for now, we can just have a body of center text which just says profile screen, right? Now let's have this much. And now if we go to the search screen and whenever there's an inkwell, what we need to do is navigator dot of context dot push material page route, and in the builder we are going to pass the context and it is going to pass in the profile screen. We need to pass in the user ID, which we are going to pass in as user.uid. Make sure to not use authcontroller.uid, else you will always show the current user's UID. Cool. So now if we click over here, you can see profile screen showing up, which is nice. So now what we can do is close all the saved files so that there's no confusion. And in our constants.dart file as well, we are going to replace this text with a constant text which just says, let's say, profile screen, right? And we're going to pass in the UID as authcontroller.user.uid, which is good. Now we need to remove this constant because we are passing in a dynamic value as the UID. And now if we restart our app, we should be seeing profile screen when we click over here. That works. Now we will go to our profile screen. So in our profile screen, let's build the UI of our app first. So what we need is first of all an app bar which will display the username and all the options, settings, that kind of icons. So we can have an app bar. Now this app bar will have a background color of colors.black12. Then we need a leading icon that will be constant icon icons.person underscore add underscore alt one outline. Cool. After that we need an actions button which will be a constant list, and actions button are this kind of stuff, the icons that show up over here. So over here we will have our icon called icons.more underscore horizontal. Cool. Now let's save this much and we can see that icon as well. Now we need a title which will be centered by default, so it will be text which just says username, so we can have the username. And we're going to have all the logic in our other controller that we're going to create in a while. So I'm not putting any values by fetching from the internet over here. So now this will have a font weight which is bold and then a color which is colors.white. Now let's save this and you can see username showing up. Now the next thing we want is, well, if we go to our image over here, you can see that we have completed the app bar section. Now we want a column widget where we can have this part right here, which is a circle avatar. Then this part, which is the list. And then we can have a sign out button, follow button accordingly, and then a list of images. So let's create that. So in our body, what we are going to have is a safe area. And then in the safe area, we are going to have a child, which will be a column. And it will have children. And the first child that we need is, well, another column. So we can add that column. And inside that will be a row. Now this row will just have the image network over here, so this part over here. So we can have a main axis alignment of main axis alignment dot center. Then children will be, well, a circle, right? So we will need a clip oval widget so that we can clip the oval. And in the child, we are going to have an image. And to display the image, we are going to use something known as cached network image. With this cached network image, you'll be able to do multiple stuff that we can see. So if we click enter and install it, let's stop our app. And after that, this pub get is completed, we can run it up again. So basically with this cached network image, our images will load up earlier and faster because it will get saved in the app's cache. So that will be a good thing for us and our app's performance. So now we can't run this because, well, we need to have this. So a cached network, and let's see why we're getting this error. Now that's because we didn't specify the children in the column. So let's specify that property. And after this row, we need this column again, right? So now this cached network image is going to have a fit of box fit.cover, then an image URL, and we are going to pass in some image URL over here. Cool. And it will have a height of 100, width of 100. And when the image is not showing up, we need to show a circular progress indicator. So what we can do is, well, first of all, receive context and URL, and then show constant circular progress indicator. After that, we can have an error widget. So in case there is an error, what we can do is context, we will get context, URL, and an error, and then we can just display an icon which says that there is an error. Cool. After this is done, we need to get out of here. So but before doing that, we need to check if our app is showing up pretty well. So let's wait for our app and let's see if we are getting the output. Alright, so our app has loaded up, and if we go to the profile screen, we can see an error widget because we have not mentioned any image URL, but we will. So that's not an issue. So let's continue. So if we need a sized box of height 15 over here, let's say 15. And after that, we need a row where we can basically tell about followers, following, all this stuff. So for that, we need a row inside of which we will need a column. So we can create a row, and the row will have children, and before that we will need a main axis alignment of center. So we can have main axis alignment. Let me undo that, and we can have main axis alignment dot center. Now the children is going to have a column, and the column is going to have again children. The text is going to be, let's say, the number of followers, so let's say 10. The style is going to be constant text style, and we're going to pass in font size like this, 20. Then a font weight of font weight dot bold. Let me save this much, and after this we will need another sized box which will have a height of 5, and then another text. So let me paste that, and this will be following. Let's increase the font size. So let's decrease actually. So we will have 14, and the font weight, let's keep it this way only. And yeah, this seems good. This seemed pretty small, so I just changed the value from here. Cool. This looks good. Now we can just copy this column and paste it 2 more times. So to do that, we're going to have another column over here, and let's save this. And this looks good, but we need to have some spacing over here. So what we can do is, before this, have a container which will have a color of colors dot black 54. The width will be 1 and the height will be 15. Then the margin will have a constant edge insets dot symmetric, and the symmetric is going to be horizontal 15. Let me save this much, and we should get some spacing. This looks really cool. So now this will be for followers. So we can have followers, and let's say this is 10 again. This looks good. Now I can copy this and then paste it again with the container, right? And now this will tell me the number of likes that I have. After that is done, let me save this as well. And now this looks fantastic. So now after that we will leave a sized box. So after this row, we need to work over here on the sign out button. So we can have a sized box of height 15. And then we need a container. Now the container will have a width of 140, height 47, and the decoration will be, well, let me go back over here. The decoration will be box decoration, and we're going to add some border. So we will have border of border.all colors.black12. This won't be visible much, but yeah, it is a border that we're going to add. Let's see why we're getting this error, and that is because we didn't specify the color argument. Yeah. After having that, we will get out of this decoration and we'll have a child widget which will be centered, and we'll have a child, and the child will be a text which just says sign out. And this is going to be conditionally rendered, but we'll look at it after a while because this might even change into follow or unfollow. And since this is going to be clickable, we need to wrap this with an inkwell widget. So what we can have is wrap with a widget called inkwell, and we're going to have an on tab, and then we can save this much. Let me format this document. Cool. Now let me add some styling because over here sign out seems very out of place. So style will be a constant text style, and the font size will be 15, and the font weight will be font weight dot bold. We can save this much, and now see that is looking much more better. Cool. Now the next thing we want is now a list of images over here, and that we'll be able to work only after we create our logic. So let's put a comment over here so that we get that we need to work over here. So we can write here video list. So in our controller we will create, let's say, our profile controller dot, and then we're going to import the get package. So we can have get dot, and then we're going to have class profile controller. This will extend the get controller. So we can have GetX controller, and we're going to have final rx map of string comma dynamic. This will be user, and we're going to have this only. So this is the user data that we're going to create, and we're going to use an alternative approach because we've used the snapshot method multiple times. So let's try something new, and I'll show you alternative approach that we're going to use. So we're going to create a getter again. All of that is going to remain the same. We can have get user, and we're going to pass in the user dot value over here. Cool. Now let's create a UID. So a global variable underscore UID, which is equal to this, and it will be an observable. You can create an observable or an RX class like this as well, .obs. Now similar to comment, we are going to have an update user ID method so that we get the user ID of the profile we are in, and then we can do UID dot value equal to UID. So this is the private class that we're going to use, and we're going to set this value to the parameter UID that we get, and then we're going to run the get user data function that we're now going to create. So let's take this get user data and create that. So it's going to be use async, and now we're going to get multiple user data. So first of all, what we need is the thumbnail of the user. So like whatever thumbnails are there. So what we can do is list of string of thumbnail, we'll call that thumbnail. And for now it is going to be an empty list. Now we can do query snapshot my videos is equal to await firestore.collections.where, where our UID is equal to, so we can do is equal to, and what is it equal to? This UID value that we have. So is equal to UID dot value. So we are finding that list of videos where the user ID is similar to the UID that we get from the profile screen. And then we are going to get it. And then we are going to run for int I is equal to 0, I is less than my videos dot docs dot length I plus plus. And then we are going to add to the thumbnails list. So thumbnails dot add, and we are going to add my videos dot docs at I dot data as dynamic, and the data can be null, so we will put an exclamation mark over here, and we're going to call the thumbnail property over here because that's what we have saved for our video, right? So if we go to our console and in the videos tab, you can see that we have saved the thumbnail with the property thumbnail. Now we have added to the list, so thumbnail part is done. The next part we want is the username, the follower count, and all of those stuff. So what we can do is document snapshot user document, which will be equal to await firestore dot collection users dot doc UID dot value dot get. After that we are going to store the name, and before that we are going to call the data value. So final data is equal to user doc dot data, and we are going to use this as dynamic, right? Now we can even name this user data because we are going to have more data, I guess. So we can leave it like this, and now the name is going to be string name equal to user data name. String profile photo is going to be user data profile photo. Now we will get the like and followers and all of those stuff. So what we can do is int likes equal to 0, int followers is equal to 0, int following is equal to 0. Now to get the number of likes, what we are going to do is go through every video that the user has created and then add that to the likes property over here. So what we can do is for var item, we can have var item, and before that we need to actually we need to call the my videos. So what we can do is for var item in, and we can call this my videos dot docs, and we're going to add that. So likes plus equals, and what we can do is item dot data likes, and we're going to consider this as a list so that we can call the length method on it. Cool. And we can even have this exclamation mark right here. And to avoid this error, what we can do is in the my videos we can change the query snapshot to where my videos, and now there is no need of putting this, and even over here putting this is not needed. So now after this is done, what we can do is where follower doc, and we're going to create the follower document. So we will go to the user, so we will have firestore.collection users dot doc, and we're going to have UID dot value, and we're going to go in the collection of followers, which we haven't configured yet, but we will do it soon. So I told you that we're going to use sub collections, and this is how we're going to use that. And similarly for following doc, we can do this. So we can do following, and we can copy this much and put that over here, following. Now the followers int that we created, that will be followers equal to follower doc dot docs dot length. So whatever how many followers are there, that will be the length. And for following, we will have following doc docs.length. After this, we are going to have Firestore dot collection users dot doc uid dot value dot collection followers dot doc auth controller dot user dot uid dot get. And over here what we are checking is basically if the followers contains the following list. So basically we are checking if the user is already following the user or not. So we can do dot then, and with that we can check if the value exists or not. So if the value exists over there, that means the following is true. So what we can do is following to true, and we'll have to create that variable. So let's create that. So over here we can have boolean is following equal to false, and over here we can set it to true. So if the value exists, that means we are already following, else following is false. And we don't need to await this because we are using then. So basically what we're doing is going to the user's follower sub collection, and then we are basically checking in that if the document has this UID. So if the doc consists of this auth controller.user.uid, that means that we are already following them. So we are setting the is following to true, else we are setting the is following to false. Cool. Now let's set the user value to this. So user.value is equal to, and we'll pass in the followers. So the followers will be followers dot toString. Then following will be following dot toString. Then is following will be is following. So let me have that. Following is following. Then we can have likes, which will be likes dot toString. Then we can have profile photo. We'll pass in the profile photo. Then we'll pass in the name. That will be the name. And finally the list of the thumbnails. So that will be thumbnails. So these are all the fields that we got from our net, and we are setting the value to this. And now we'll call the update method because we are going to use something different over here. Alright, we're not going to use OBX, we are going to use something known as a GetX builder. We'll see that. So in the profile screen, you can scroll to the top and wrap this safe area and scaffold and everything, because the app bar also needs the get builder, and we can wrap that with a stream builder. So that will be get builder, and let's import that. Now the get builder will be of the type profile controller. So let's have that as well. And the init will be profile controller. Alright, now the builder will over here will get a controller which we will not use. Generally you can use that, but we are not going to use this controller over here. We're going to create our own profile controller. So at the top we can have final profile controller, and we can mark that as profile controller, and then get dot put, and we can put that profile controller. Now we have to convert this into a stateful widget, and after that what we can do is in the init state we can have profile controller dot update user ID, and we need to pass in the UID, so that will be widget dot UID. Let's save this much, and we should be getting error for some while because our user is going to be empty, so we can't call values based on that. But for now let's put that. Now the username is going to be controller dot user name. Then we can just grab this and use this everywhere. So we can scroll down, and in the image URL we can pass in control.user profile photo Then we can pass in the followers list. I think this is following, so let's pass in following. We will have to put this as a constant text. We can remove this constant from here. This will be followers list, so we can have followers. Let's put this as a constant text and remove this constant from here as well. We can put this likes, so we can have likes. Again, put this as a constant and remove the constant from here. Cool. So now let's go to our profile screen, and we're getting this error for a while, and that was kind of expected. And you can see our image showing up, which is nice. And our likes is 1 like because over here we gave a like. So if we remove this like and go back over here, we see that our like has changed to 0. That means this is working. Even the followers and following seems to be working because it's showing 0. When we add the followers and following functionality, we should see something else. So now let's work on this logic over here. So if it's us, then it should show sign out, else it should show something else. So what you can do is go to the centered inkwell widget, and before that, let's work on this logic. So what logic am I talking about is whenever we go over here, you see this red screen. So to fix that issue, what you can do is in the controller over here, we can check if the controller, let me put if. So if controller dot user dot is empty, that means that the map is empty, then we need to return a constant center child circular progress indicator. That means it is loading, right? Now we can save this, and now if we restart our app and see, we shouldn't be getting this issue anymore. So if we go to our profile, and this seems to be working. Perfect. So now we can go down at the bottom, and in the text, instead of showing sign out, what we can first check is over here, if the widget.uid is equal to authcontroller.user.uid, that means that this profile is ours, then we will get the sign out option, right? Else we will check if the controller.user is following is true, then we can have follow, else we will have the unfollow button. Now we can save this. So basically first we will check if the user is us, then we'll put a sign out option. If it's not us, then we will check if it's following. So if we are following that user, we will get the follow option, or else we will get the unfollow option. For now we will get the sign out option. So let's create another user, but to create another user we have to log out, and to log out we need the on tap functionality. So over here we can have if, and we can just copy this condition from here. So if widget.uid is equal to this, what we can do is authcontroller.signout, and this function we have to create in our auth controller. So let's go to our auth controller, and down here we can have a sign out option. So we can have sign out, which will be asynchronous and will not return anything, and we can have await Firebase auth.instance. So instead of doing this, we can just make use of Firebase auth variable that we have, and then we can call sign out, only this much. And we won't check with the try catch block because we are expecting that it will work without any issue. And we are not going to go to the other screen because if we sign out, then our state management will take care of it and process the user data accordingly. So if I now click out and sign out, you can see that we signed out. And if I refresh my app, you can see we are still on the login screen. So now let's register our user, and you can see when we click on the register, we're not going to the other screen. That is because we made a simple bug over here. In our sign up screen, when we click on the register, we haven't navigated the user, right? So to do that, what we can do is navigator.ofContext.push, then we can pass in material page route, and builder will have a context value, and this context will and we have to go to the login screen over here. We actually had to do it for the sign up screen, but we haven't put that here as well. We can copy this on tab and now go to the login screen and do it similarly so that we can go to the register screen, right? And now we can type over here sign up screen. Cool. Now let's refresh and see what's happening. If we go over here, we can go to the register screen now. That's good. Now let's select an image. Image has been successfully selected. Let me take this Naman and we can call this with the test1234@gmail.com and we will add the password test123. Now click on register and we can see this over here, which is awesome. We can go to the comments and we can see 3 hours ago. This was when I recorded the video. Now if I go to the profile, I see Naman over here, 0 likes, and even if I like over here, you can see that this is not incrementing. So now let's work on, let's see if we can search the user. And when we search, we get Rivan Ranawat. This has 1 like and we are already following this. That means that our logic is somewhere wrong over here. So what we can do is go to our profile screen and we are checking if it's already following, then we need to give in the unfollow button or the follow button. This is where we made a mistake and now we get the follow button. So now the next thing we want to do is whenever we click over here, we should follow the user. So over here, else we can do controller dot follow user, and this is a function that we are going to create in our profile controller class. So here we will have follow user and this is going to be asynchronous. So over here we can have var doc, which will be equal to await firestore dot collection users dot document uid dot value dot collection followers dot doc auth controller dot user dot uid dot get. So we are basically getting the user's followers. And now we will check if the doc doesn't exist, then what do we need to do? Well, if the doc doesn't exist, then we need to make sure that the user's followers is added. So I can copy this and paste it over here, and in the doc we can set it. So that means that we have added the user to our collection over here. So we have gone to the users, the particular user that we have. Then we can go to the followers collection and add the user who followed that document over there. And we don't need to pass in any value. So I'm just going to pass in a set like this, which is empty. And after this followers is done, we also need to make sure that we add to the following of this user over here. That is the uid.value, the profile which we have tapped on. So over here, we are going to replace the auth controller.user ID over here. And we're going to set the uid to uid.value. And over here in the following, we are going to add. So basically what we did over here is added so whenever we are on this screen, suppose this is the Rivan Ranawat user and I'm the Naman user. So whenever I click over here, I click on the follow button, this followers has to increase over here, and for me the following has to increase. So I basically set both of these values in the Firestore collection. And now we need to update the user value. So what we can do is user.value.update. This is how you update a map. And we have to update the followers value, and we need to do int.parse, which is the value. So we had converted it to a string, so we are basically converting it to an integer value. We are adding 1 to it, and then we are again converting it into a string. Cool. Now we are going to add an else value, else condition, and over here we are going to copy this, paste it down, and we are going to now delete the document that we have. So we can have delete and we'll remove this map. We are going to delete from here as well and remove this map. And over here we are going to not add one, but we are going to subtract one because, well, we removed one follower, right? Now we also need to update the user's following. So what we can do is user.value.update and we're going to update the is following value. So we're basically going to set the value to not. So if the is following is set to false, we are going to set it to true. So, and if it's not false, and if it's false, then we're going to set it to true. And now we need to see the update, so we can call the update method over here. Now let's refresh this and see how our app is looking. First of all, to check, we can go to a profile and we don't see anything. That's cool. Now if I type Rivan over here, now if I go over here and type Rivan and follow this user, we can see the update has been made, 1 follower, and if we unfollow, we can see it's 0 again. Now let me follow this and go back to our profile screen, and you can see 1 following, 0 followers, 0 likes, which is awesome. Now the last thing we want to do is show the list of images that we have. For Rivan Ranawat, we have some images, but we can't see them. So let's show the thumbnail. So what we can do is go to the profile screen, and when we scroll down, we have our comment of video list. Now let's create a grid view builder. So we're going to have a grid view builder to create the grid. Now the grid delegate is going to be a constant sliver grid delegate, and let me get the auto option. So with fixed cross axis count, and the cross axis count is going to be 2, child aspect ratio will be 1, and cross axis spacing will be 5. So basically cross axis spacing means that we need to leave some space over here, some space over here. Cross axis count means that there are 2 images that should show up in one line, one row basically. Cool. Now we have our item builder, and let me say this much. Now the item builder will have a context and an index. So we are going to have a thumbnail over here. So let's say thumbnail, and it is going to be controller dot user thumbnails, and we are going to grab the thumbnails by their index because they are a list. Now return a cached network image like we did, and the image URL is going to be a thumbnail. And finally the fit will be box fit dot cover. Now let's save this much and let's see why we're getting this error. Now that's because we haven't set the item count, and we will set the item count over here. Let's say controller dot user thumbnails dot length. So whatever is the length of the list that we have. And we also need to set a physics of non-scrollable. That means that they're never scrollable. So we can have constant never scrollable physics. Let's save this much. Let's rerun our app and see what we're getting. And now you can see that our layout is totally messed up over here, and this can be fixed with a very simple solution. Over here we can just write shrink trap and set it to true. And now if we refresh our application and go to our profile screen, you can see that it's coming into place and it's looking pretty good. So now let's go to the Rivan user and click on enter. Let's go to Rivan, and we can see the thumbnail showing, which is awesome, right? So now the only thing is, if you run it on a other device and there are more thumbnails, then this will throw a render flex issue, and that can be solved by just putting single child scroll view over here. So if we wrap this with a single child scroll view, then this should fix all of our problems. And this is not showing any problem now, but it might show. That's why I'm telling it to you. So now just to confirm that it works, now if I click on sign out, it works, and all of our stuff is working pretty well. So this is it for this tutorial. Thank you guys for watching. See you in the next video.